Hey guys, welcome back to Modern Day Debates. I'm your host Mike, subbing in for James this week. Tonight we got Made by Jim Bob and Axiomatic Reasoning. We are back to discuss the topic of evolution on Modern Day Debates here. Before we start, like the video please, subscribe if you're a new viewer, and get your tickets to DebateCon 9. We got those in the description. It's going to be in Orlando. If you haven't seen the new ads we've been putting out, it is attached to a water park. So if you pay for a hotel through James's link below, you will be able to have a resort fee waived, and you'll be able to go to the water park all day in between debates, or slide right into the debate from the slide. I think we're setting that up. But without further ado, we're going to turn it over to Mr. Axiomatic Reasoning here. Bobby, 5-10 minute opening. However much time you need, you don't got to do the full 10 minutes. And if either of you have the stream up, I have a timer up there, so you can see your time. Just keep it muted so it doesn't give me double audio for the chat. And then I feel like there's something I'm forgetting, but I'm sure I'll remember once we start. But I'll start the timer once you start talking, Bobby. Oh yeah, it's to tell everybody specifically, prompt is real general. The specific prompt is general on evolution here. Obviously Made by Jim Bob's taken the affirmative action against evolution, and Axiomatic's going to defend it. So he's got the affirmative. Technically, he's affirming it's a thing, and Jim Bob's going to go against it. So go ahead and start, Axiom, whenever you're ready.
Sure. Yeah. Hi. Thank you everyone for attending. I'm very happy to be here. I want to, of course, thank Modern Day Debate and Jim Bob. Thank you for agreeing to chat with me. I think it'll be fun. I'm new to social media, so my name's Bobby. Just started a channel, Axiomatic Reasoning. Please feel free to come join the Discord. We talk about politics, religion, mathematics, physics, whatever it is that is of interest. I'm a mathematician by trade, so any mathematical questions I can certainly help and answer. So today's topic is about evolution, or I guess concerns with evolution or whatnot. I've done a couple of debates on these already. In general, I guess the concern with the evolutionary discussion is typically on the sides of having doubts or concerns with like scientific inquiry or scientific method, or the things that have been established through various scientific literature. And I guess on the other side would be doubting those things, or simply ignoring those things or whatnot. So there's quite a bit of evidence for evolution. I mean, we could talk about it in a number of capacities. We could talk about the carbon-14 dating, or we can talk about various other radiometric dating, or we can go over the physics of it. I think in a last debate, I went over the physics with Kent Hovind on C14. And then in the most recent debate with Donnie and Sam, I went over stochastic pathing and some of the issues that arise from that type of modeling. So I'm free to have the conversation go in whatever direction we like. I guess if we wanted to hone in on a specific thing of interest, I always like to try to think of something new. I do apologize. I'm a little bit under the weather, so maybe not as prepared as I could be. I have taken a lot of drugs, though, to try to mitigate the snotty nose and everything. But for a topic of discussion, I thought it might be of interest just to discuss something like limestone. So I was doing a bit of calculations maybe a few weeks ago. I was like trying to look up limestone. How does it work? How's it created? These types of things, what it is we measure in the environment. And so very simple calculations. You look up a couple of numbers, you look up the conversion rate, the chemistry and whatnot, and approximately the amount of limestone on the planet generated by biological material is approximately equivalent to an enormous amount of heat, right, that would be generated from it. And so we could go through the calculations of it if we wanted to. I have them written down. Maybe Jim Bob and I will go through that a little bit. But anyway, the point is that the calculations come out fairly astronomical. Like if you tried to squish them into a few thousand years, you get on par of like, millions of degrees on the entire surface of the planet. And as we all know, right, stuff like steel and whatnot vaporizes at, 10,000 or 20,000 degrees or something. And so things reaching a million degrees is obviously way too high, right? But yeah, anyway, I don't have a whole lot more to present per se. I don't have any slides or whatnot, and I'm happy to have a discussion. So I'll turn it over to Jim Pop.
Time.
I can't hear you, James. Mike James.
Not James.
Not James.
That's what Caleb in the chat calls me. Yeah, I'm resetting the time. I just wanted to unmute so I could let you know. All right, go ahead whenever you're ready.
All right, cool. The debate is evolution, about evolution. It's about the defense of evolution. It's about affirming evolution and all of its trinkets. Evolution is the process by which different kinds of living organisms are thought to have developed and diversified from earlier forms during the history of the Earth. Evolution is touted as the single most well-established scientific theories in human history. You would think that the most well-established scientific theories in human history would, at minimum, be able to make its way through the scientific method, the basic one that we learned in 7th grade. Well, the reality is, and you've seen this in all of my debates, every single time, the fact is, evolution does not make its way through the scientific method. In fact, it's actually worse. The proponents of evolution who claim it's a scientific theory, most of the time don't even know the scientific method. So at minimum, you'd think, well, that would be necessary. Well, it's not. Apparently, to tout evolution, it's not necessary for it to be a scientific theory or go through the scientific method. Evolution holds 4 key mechanisms through which the process takes place: natural selection, mutation, genetic drift, and gene flow. I'll be focusing on the first 2 because, like the scientific method, the proponent of evolution can't get through the first 2 anyway. Natural selection and random mutation. Random mutation is said to be the source of all genetic variation. Random mutations happen at the population level. The issue is populations themselves are an example of genetic variation, but you need populations to have genetic variation. So how does genetic variation produce populations if you need populations to produce genetic variation? This is a circle, and a circle you'll see all throughout the evolutionary paradigm, which I hold is mostly philosophical and at best or I should say at worst, an extrapolation from adaptation. The other issue with mutations is that most mutations are neutral or harmful, but even the ones that are claimed to be beneficial, as non-existent as they are, the opponent must explain how they produce extremely complex systems with dedicated tasks and functions in the body. The evolution proponent just says that happened, and with enough time, it happened. We can't quite understand how it happened, but it definitely happened. My opponent must defend the position that random mutations build specialized features like the vestibular system or the liver or the brain. But not only that, he must defend that random mutation also builds the mereological relations between these features inside the body. He can't do either. All he can say is that it happened and it took a long time. What's worse is that he must hold the position that something as complex and precise as the vestibular system or the brain is purely incidental in its form and its function. In plain English, it accidentally is awesome at what it does. How does this happen? All we really get from the evolution proponent time and time again is that it just does. And keep in mind, while all this accidental precision engineering is occurring accidentally, the environment is acting as a real-time quality control system. They call this natural selection. Natural selection has its own problems as well. The idea that mutation is random but natural selection is not entirely true. Natural selection refers to the external environment selecting for existing traits, but the environment itself is an abstraction that consists of a collection, an aggregate of particulars, most of which are themselves biological organisms, also changing constantly. Then the physical conditions of the environment are also in flux. So the question is, well, from this view, how does an ever-changing system of organisms, ecology, and physical conditions allow for a regular process called evolution? None of it's regular. It's always in flux. Animals need other organisms to survive. Those organisms need to maintain the nature of what they are in order for them to play a necessary, important role in other animals' existence and their own existence. But these identities, from their view, they're always changing over time. There's no regularity you can point to as an evolution proponent to claim that this process is even occurring, which brings up perhaps one of the most brutal counters to evolution, the changing of accidental properties that is assumed to cause eventually the change in an essential property of an organism. Now, I'm going to use a summary I heard from Dr. Nathan Jacobs. I recommend you follow him on YouTube to demonstrate the issue of essential properties and accidental properties. Let's take a square. For a square to be a square and not some other shape, we must have at least 4 equal sides, right? We want to define a square so that anything not a square cannot be defined as a square. That would be an essential property. Now, there are essential properties of a square. Now, if we paint the square orange or change its angle or position or size, location, it doesn't change the essential property, nor does it change what it actually is. It's a square, no matter how much you change the color and whatnot. It just changes its accidental properties. No amount of accidental changes to the square will change into something that isn't a square, no matter what. If something called an essential property actually changed, it wouldn't definitionally be an essential property. It would now be an accidental property. In order to study the nature of a given animal, now to transpose it over to biology, which this topic is about, there must be at least one essential property that makes an animal what it is. For example, a mammal. One essential property could be mammary glands. Maybe there's a list of others, but maybe they don't all meet all of them. But at least one is met by all of them. Mammary glands. One essential property for a mammal is mammary glands. The issue is, under evolution, mammary glands must have evolved from an organism or a population that preceded it that didn't actually have mammary glands. That is to say, mammals didn't always exist as mammals. They evolved from something that wasn't a mammal. That is to say, mammals themselves are not themselves an objective category. They are themselves. The category, the non-existent category that you call mammals, are in fact an accidental property of nature. That means they're accented. I don't mean accidental like dice. I mean like they are accents, the entire thing. The issue is, under the evolutionary view, mammary glands must have evolved, which means they are not essential. They are accidental. The contradiction in evolution is pretty simple. P, essential properties of organisms exist. Not P, essential properties of organisms do not exist. It's a blatant contradiction of P and not P. You will see this issue of P and not P around every turn for the evolution proponent at the category level, whales, mammals, or at the particular function of an organ, a liver, a heart, a brain, these things. Are they universally what they are based on essential properties of what they do? This applies to genomes, the way we study genomes, right? For example, how do you study the nature of a whale if there are no essential properties of a whale? That is to say, what you call a whale is a temporary fixture at a nominal level that's actually in flux and on its way to not being a whale. In fact, it was produced by something that wasn't a whale, definitionally, Pachycetus. How do you study the genome of a whale if the genome is an accidental property of a particular creature? It's not universally an essential property of a whale. You're not even studying the whale's genome. You're not comparing the whale genome to any other thing. This goes for anatomy as well. Everything about an animal at the particular level, from the evolutionary view, is an accidental property, none of which are essential properties. This is a massive problem. This is an undercutting philosophical defeater to even examining and talking about evolution. Now, leads me to fossil record, which a lot of these examinations, the fossil record, we dig up a fossil, it looks like something else. The anatomy looks like something else to some degree. And what you say is, well, it looks like that thing, so it's either the ancestor of that thing or has a shared ancestor of that thing. Well, I'm sorry, but for that to even be the case, which they can't demonstrate, you would still need to affirm the thing they deny, essential property of a thing. But those things are in flux. We're in pure nominalism at this point. Evolution, proponents attempt to draw common descent with similarity. Not only does similarity in anatomy not confirm relatedness of common ancestry, but evolution was true. It would need to be the case that entirely dissimilar animals would also be related. So it's not really a key point for an evolution proponent to say, look at the similarity between animals in the more recent timeline. You go, wow, that's amazing. Then you go back further in time, and suddenly the argument is dissimilarity, that dissimilar things are also related. Which is it? You can't use both. One doesn't have any real power or meaning if the other one has this equal power. Dissimilar, similar, who cares? It's all from one thing. Luca, okay, what's that from? Fuca, what's that from? They're just going to keep making up necessary start points. Evolution is essentially a philosophical, religious creation myth, right? It's creation and the basically the manifestation of multiplicity from something singular. It's actually incoherent in its chronology as well, not just is it incapable of describing how random mutation builds a heart or builds a brain or builds a spine, along with its function, along with its mereological relations to other functions. It can't explain any of that. It just says it happens. But it actually argues something insane, that from a singular simple organism that is itself part of a population, through random mutation produces massive diversity, not just diversity in kinds, but diversity internally of what happens inside of those kinds. Not a single demonstration of this. There's no demonstration or reason to believe that something like a Pakicetus, if you grant it, a wolf size. Sorry, what?
The timer
Did I go over?
does a. That was the time, but it just did a big gong that I was not expecting.
Oh,
you should.
I thought you'd give like a minute warning or something.
You can finish up here.
You can take all
cool.
the time you'd like. I don't
Okay,
mind.
yeah. I'll just go back. I'll just kind of summarize. The problem with evolution, which I think we should go through, is one, it's touted as a scientific theory, but it doesn't actually go through the scientific method. Scientific theories, actually, to be called scientific theories, actually require some criterion, or else everything's a scientific theory. Two, the explanation, the actual biological explanation of random mutation, doing the building of vestibular systems, actually constructing things with precise function that does something that's task oriented. There's no reason to believe random mutation with everything we understand about mutation. There's no reason to believe random mutation can actually engineer something accidentally. And the last point there is that the philosophical problem of universals or categories, the evolution proponent can't really affirm these things because those things are in flux. So there is no essential property of an animal as a category that you can study it in isolation as if it's its own category compared to another category. There are no categories. Evolution is basically biological monism. And with that, I'd love to get into the exchange.
All right, guys, like the video. If you're just joining us, we're about to get into the hour back and forth, or was it 50 minutes? Let's do 55, and we'll do some 5-minute closings if you guys want to hit the hour.
Sure.
Okay, so I'm gonna start it now, and you guys take it when you want to take it.
Yeah, I want to start with the scientific method because I hold that for something to be a scientific theory, it should be at the tail end of the scientific method. If not, there's really no criterion. We can call anything a scientific theory. So do you hold that evolution makes its way through the scientific method?
I assume. I'm not sure exactly what you mean by scientific method. Can I ask you a couple of questions just so I know the baseline of where we're at? Like, are you a flat earther? You're not a flat earther, right?
What? No.
Okay.
What is this?
And do you think the Earth is 6,000 years old, or that it's older?
This is irrelevant to evolution. Why are you cross-examining a topic that has nothing to do with evolution? Look, is evolution a scientific theory or not?
Jim Bob, I wasn't trying to be mean. I was just
This is well
trying to
poisoning.
figure
It
out
has
where we are.
nothing to do. It has nothing to do with the topic evolution. Let's say I believed that the Earth is a soccer ball. No,
I wasn't intending on being mean. I wasn't.
I'm not. I didn't say you're mean. I said it's outside of the bounds of. I'm
Well, that's
questioning
fine.
you.
Maybe it is. Maybe it is.
Okay,
In-
it's out
in
of
any
bounds.
case,
It's
is
out
it
of bounds.
okay if we talk to each other like we're humans? Like,
You're a human. Well, no, actually, evolution denies that there's a universal category of humans.
Okay, great. So I'm just trying to talk to you like a person, and all I was asking was, are you someone that believes that the Earth was 6,000 years old, or are you someone that thinks that there's an old
It's
Earth?
irrelevant.
Do you mind letting me know so that
It's
we know we're
irrelevant.
on the same page?
It's irrelevant. We're not on the same page because the topic.
Why?
Maybe Bobby asked your
Well,
follow-up question to that.
This is what is the topic
So-
about, Bobby?
So the general concern I have, obviously, is from what I'm considering anti-science, right? And so in general,
What's
when
science?
there's anti-science or pseudoscience, right?
You don't
there's
even know what
typically a
science is,
concern-
Bobby.
In general, we talk about things being called science, right? Because they're part
Is
of the body
evolution
of
science?
human knowledge and
Okay.
exploration.
No.
right?
Scientific theory, not science generally. Now I asked you a pointed question. You're saying, can we talk like human
Okay,
beings?
okay.
I asked you a human being to human being question. Bobby, do you believe that evolution is itself a scientific theory? Yes or no?
Yes, people call it a scientific theory.
Great.
Yes.
Do scientific theories need to go through the scientific method?
I suppose I'm not sure what you mean by scientific method.
What is the
There's
scientific method, Bobby?
Well, there's probably what we teach in grade school
What
that
is
has
that?
something to do with like hypothesis and testing and whatnot, affirming your conclusion or verifying your conclusion or whatever.
Cool. Yeah, that.
Um,
Does
but
evolution
in
go through
general,
that?
right, in actual research, right, we're not worrying about whether or not we're stipulating the specific steps of the scientific method. We're more so concerned in trying to expand human knowledge. So we're going to be exploring data, looking at evidence, hypothesizing about what it might mean,
Okay,
collaborating with other people.
Bobby,
Right?
do we have knowledge of what causes I don't know, sicknesses, let's say scurvy? Do we have knowledge of what causes scurvy?
We have some idea, yeah.
Do we
Right.
have some idea of what causes scurvy absent taking it through the scientific method with an experiment?
Yeah, somewhat, I guess. I mean, it depends on what you mean by scientific method again. Like, for
Well,
example-
scientific method means observation. I observe a phenomenon in nature.
Mhm.
I ask a question. In this case, what
Mhm.
causes this phenomenon? Right, this set of symptoms that these humans have. Right, I don't
Mhm.
know I don't know what scurvy is. I just see a set of symptoms. What's causing this is the beginning of my hypothesis. Let's say I say maybe ingesting this thing or not ingesting this thing causes scurvy. Maybe that's the case. Now, when I come up with a hypothesis, the reason that we
Mhm.
call something a scientific theory, Bobby, is because we can formulate a valid, viable hypothesis that we could actually manipulate, produce repetition, and to draw out a summary of a likely cause, but also draw out a
Mhm.
summary of a null cause that maybe the thing we thought was causing it isn't causing. Both are valuable. So I point to
Mhm.
scurvy because when we develop scientific theories about phenomenon in the world, in nature, we actually have to be able to be scientists, which means we have to manipulate, introduce the variables, and remove the variables if we're going to come to any conclusion. Further, for any competing hypotheses, right? Competing hypotheses, you need an arbitrator. An experiment inside of natural science is the only arbiter between two competing hypotheses. Now, evolution, I don't even know what observation you'd start with, right? Because the scientific method starts with an observation. What do you have an observation you're going to start with to try to
Well-
take evolution through the scientific method?
Well, again, the word observation being used there is just a general word that's talking about, the inquiry that people are going through. It's not meant to be like literally your eyes are observing something. That's obviously not the point, right? So, like, for example, you could be analyzing a bunch of data and doing statistics on it.
How do you analyze
and the
something without
data-
looking at it?
What do you mean? I'm talking about analyzing
You just
the
said
data.
observing doesn't necessarily mean using your eyes. How do you analyze data without using your eyes?
Because you run it through a simulation, you calculate.
Do you
it
have
on
to
a
observe the
computer.
simulation? Do you have to observe the simulation?
I mean, blind people could do this. I'm not sure what
Do
you
they
mean.
still need to observe through their senses what the data is?
So yes, everything we know comes through our sensory information. Yes, correct.
Okay. Did that
Right?
statement, do you know that statement? I mean,
As
let's
far
not
as
get
I
into
know, yes. As
Okay.
far as I know, yes.
peripatetic axiom. I learned that word. So the thing is,
Okay.
what I demonstrate through all my debates about evolution is it's touted as a scientific theory. Let me just ask you a different way.
Did you want me
Is
to
there s-
finish my response, or did
Is
you
there
just want to move
anything
on?
is there anything required for something to be considered a scientific theory versus not
I-
one?
Well, you asked me a question. I didn't know if you wanted me to, like, do you just not care what I had to say, or
Well, I wanted to be pertinent to the topic, which is evolution.
no? But okay, whatever. It's fine. What's your next question? Go ahead.
My next question is there a set of criterion that must be met for something to be considered a scientific theory versus a not scientific theory?
Yeah, well, the general criteria is typically it needs to be collaborated by many other people. It needs to go through a peer review process. We're normally expecting things like testable, reproducible, type of stuff. There are certain exceptions to these depending on the particular field and the particular study and whatnot. But in general, the hope is that it tells us something new about the world in which we live, and then we want to document it so future generations and people can make use of that information, right?
Okay, and let's say two people
Hmm.
have all the same data and they have different models or, from your view,
Hmm.
hypotheses of
Yep.
explanation. How do you arbitrate between the two without an experiment?
Well, they both hopefully provide some type of way to test the difference between the two. And typically they publish that, and then people do further experiments to try to figure out which one is more
Okay,
viable
are
than
you
the other
saying
one,
an ex
or which one
okay?
has more support than another one, right?
Are you saying that an experiment then is necessary for something to be considered a scientific theory?
Um, I guess it depends on what you mean by experiment. Sometimes experiment is just simply observing older data. Like, for example, in medical research, we're
Oh,
not typically literally causing a particular thing to happen. We're instead observing what it is that is happening or tabulating the information and then running statistics on it.
okay,
Sometimes we have sometimes we have phenomenons that are only like one example large, right?
okay,
And
okay.
then
Let's
those
stop
get
there.
documented, right?
Stop there. If you say what we can do
Hmm.
instead of an experiment is look at more data, but the question was, can two people who have the same data, how do they arbitrate between their models or what they're concluding about two sets of the same data, right? They have the same data, right?
Uh-huh.
And
Sure.
you said an experiment. And I said, okay, would you say that it's necessary for an experiment to arbitrate between two models? And you said, no, we go back to more data, right? What's in question, Bobby, is if two people,
Uh-huh.
you and I, share the same data, and the only way to arbitrate between the hypothesis that we both have that are maybe contradictory, the only way to do
Hmm.
that is through an experiment. And then when I ask you, okay, finally, is it necessary to run an experiment for something to be considered a scientific theory? You said no, you just go back to the data. But that's where we started. We started with the data.
I'm a little confused.
I know
This just seems to be a semantics thing, right?
it's not a
Um,
semantics thing.
yes, it is. When we are writing a research paper and we are, for example, summarizing a bunch of tabular information from another research paper, we may not refer to that as doing an experiment, right? Now, you might say, ultimately, I think is what you're wanting to say, ultimately, all tabular information or recorded information or tested information boils down to some experiment in the past. Sure, you could say that if you'd like, right? But the question was whether or not every researcher, when they're trying to make an assessment or understand a thing or calculate out some particular relationship or whatever, that they're doing an actual experiment. They may not actually be doing an experiment. They might be doing simply calculations, right?
Okay, but are calculations, is math a replacement for experiment?
It's just a vocabulary thing. We normally wouldn't refer to someone calculating a confidence interval as doing an experiment. I mean, unless they went out and did the survey and
Let
collected the
me.
data and did the
Okay.
thing
Is
and
there a difference
took the
between
stalagmite measurements and whatever, right?
Is there a difference between explanation and description?
Explanation and description. I mean, I can imagine those words being used in different contexts.
Okay, is mathematics descriptive or explanatory?
I don't know. What do you mean by descriptive or explanatory? I mean, I
So
think it's
if
both,
I
right?
see well, no, if I see an observation in nature and I describe it
Mm-hmm.
mathematically,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not by describing it mathematically, I'm not actually producing a viable hypothesis of the cause of a phenomenon, right?
Well, you may, right?
No, how? How can I look at a phenomenon, put it into math language descriptively, and the use of math alone develops the cause? How do you produce a cause through math?
Well, I don't know why we're calling it a cause, but literally that was done by like Maxwell, for example, right? Maxwell's equations, he developed them because he wanted to understand electricity and magnetism. And then if you take those equations and you multiply out the coefficients that come together, you get the speed of light, which is why everyone pretty much had already thought and believed and kind of had some confirmation that the speed of light was finite. But more importantly, that and Maxwell didn't see this, but Einstein did decades later, that the speed of light is the same for all observers, no matter what velocity they're traveling, right? And that is immediate from Maxwell's equations if you assume that there'd be no way for you to tell your velocity if you're
Did
just
he test
floating in
them?
space, right?
Did he test them?
Uh, yes, they were
Okay,
tested later. When you say
gotcha.
him, you don't mean literally Einstein,
I
right?
understand. Yeah, yeah. But the thing is, what I'm getting
Yeah.
to is you had to make the
Mhm.
leap to an action we call science, the scientific method in action or a test in action. What I'm saying is I'm making a necessary distinction between mathematics, which is descriptive, and science, which is
Mhm.
explanatory. If you don't make the
Mhm.
distinction between math being descriptive and science being explanatory, then you might as well just do math and call it science. You don't have to test anything.
Well, just because there exists instances where something came out of a formula that made us think, hey, maybe that phenomenon exists, like black holes or the speed of light being finite, right? Doesn't mean that all things that we could ever want to derive come from pure mathematical formulas, right? We still want to confirm those things, probably doing experiments or whatnot, or looking for observations, right? So, like Einstein's equations predict both, and well before we discovered these things, right? Black holes and white holes, right? We've never seen any white holes, right? So we don't know if they exist, but we have seen black holes. And so we're aware that black holes exist and they're a solution to one of Einstein's they're a solution to Einstein's equation of relativity, right?
Okay, so let me just try to conclude here.
Hmm.
Yes or no, do you believe we can call evolution a scientific theory if it doesn't go through the scientific method?
I suppose not. I mean, scientific method's very broad, but sure.
So wait, you would call it a scientific theory if it doesn't go through the scientific method?
I'm sorry, I said that backwards. So, in general, the phrase scientific method is a very broad statement about just trying to capture the research that researchers do, right?
Mm-mm,
And the evolution is a
that's
theory that has
incorrect.
been evolution is a theory that has been through quite a bit of scrutiny and development. It's got, millions of research papers to its
The
name, right?
scientific method is not broad. That's what makes it so valuable. It's actually pretty constrained.
I just gave you examples of how we figured out the speed of light without
That's
doing
not
any
the scientific
measurements.
method.
But it's most would consider that part of science. They'd consider
No,
it
no,
part of
no. We're
physics.
not talking about colloquial, the body of knowledge you call science. We're talking about natural
Oh,
science, which
well,
needs to be
if
experimented.
okay, if you're going to use different vocabulary, I don't know, like it
I've been
sounded like
using
you were just
scientific theory
asking
this whole time. I've been using this. I'm making the
which
distinction
is
between science.
understood as just meaning things we get from science topics, right?
No,
Theories from
no,
science topics.
no. Theories aren't from topics. Theories are from experiments. Give me a theory
Theories
that
aren't from topics, they're
no, you
from
don't get you don't
experiments.
get the theory from just talking about stuff. You get a
Again,
theory from
again,
actually going through the scientific method, man.
I already granted you that if you want to say that every single thing we know fundamentally came from an experiment at some point in the
No,
past, that's
no,
fine.
I don't say
But
that. We have philosophical knowledge that doesn't require an experiment. We have trial and error that isn't
were
actually the same as an experiment.
was was the publication and quote unquote discovery of black holes through looking at Einstein's equations, was that considered
Total.
science?
No, that's not science.
Oh, okay. Well, I
That's
mean,
like that's like theoretical. That's like theoretical physics.
okay. I mean, most would consider that part of science. So if
No,
you don't want to call it,
I already granted you, if you say
mhm.
science broadly is just a collection of things we think we know, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the scientific theory that has to be
Okay.
bound to something strict called the
We
scientific method. I'm
we
simply
can
asking you,
use
Bobby,
sure, sure.
if I'm simply asking you a question. Do you think we can call something a scientific theory if it doesn't go through the scientific method?
Well, I was giving an example where I thought that that would be considered the case according to the way that you were talking about the scientific method, right? Like the discovery of black holes through Einstein's equations. Most would consider that
That's an observation.
scientific science,
No,
right?
that's just an observation.
Okay, I mean,
And
listen, I'm fine to switch whatever definitions you want. It's just I'm just noting, right, that you're not considering finding
if I
black
observe
holes in
any, well,
Einstein's
no, no, well,
equations
no, no, no.
as science, right?
No, I'm saying I already categorized that properly as theoretical
Okay,
physics.
great, that's fantastic. We can use whatever
Theoretical physics,
definitions you want.
I'm just saying theoretical physics, the action of theoretical physics is not identical to the scientific method. Do you agree?
I sure, I guess
Okay,
if
good.
that's the way you would like it. So,
Cool.
just to be
Is
clear, just
evolution
to be clear,
theoretical? Is that evolution theoretical, or is it actually go through the scientific method then?
hang on, just I want to make sure I understand. So do you categorize all of theoretical physics as not scientific?
No, it's not scientific. It's theoretical.
Okay, gotcha. I see. Okay.
Yeah, it's just theoretical. It's like even some of the leading astrophysics physicists like
Hmm.
Michio Kaku knows this, and he's actually honest about it. He says, "Oh, look, it's a lot of guesswork. It's really fun to do math and sort of like extrapolate
Hmm.
out what we think might happen in this case or what's happening out there, and maybe
Sure.
the math actually meets up with our observations." Okay, that's cool. I think that's cool. Actually, I'm not
Hmm.
dismissing it as not cool.
Yeah,
I'm just saying
we
it's not strict
build quantum
science.
computers, right?
Well, no, building is engineering. That's actually experiment.
Uh, oh, okay. I mean, who do you think they're hiring to build a quantum computer?
People who do experiments and who can build that stuff.
Theoretical physicists.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yes,
does the
correct.
theoretic does theoretical physics have
Correct.
any real meaning unless you can apply it in applied science?
Yeah.
Does it matter?
I mean,
Does it really matter
uh,
unless you can
it
actually
it
actualize
depends
it?
on it depends on what you mean by that. It has real meaning in that, in general, trying to solve and resolve the equations that we have to model or understand the universe
Applied
is
science,
very
right?
important,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, no,
This
but
is
applied
why
science.
this is why people like what is it? No either, right? Her theorems of symmetry are considered monumental in our understanding of how physics works,
Okay, okay.
but she didn't do any
Okay,
experiments at all,
that's fine.
right?
Let's move on to the actual mechanisms of evolution because that's what's
Hmm.
really at hand. I think I established this pretty early for a reason that when you tout something as a scientific method or a theory,
Hmm.
if scientific theory is very elusive and floaty and it's flexible, then it really loses its rigidity, which is my point. Now, some people
Hmm.
actually just agree with me and they go, you know what? You're right. Scientific theory needs to be bound by some strict criterion, or else we call everything a scientific theory, and then we get into pseudoscience. Now let's move on to the mechanisms of
Hmm.
evolution, right? Do you,
Hmm.
to hold an evolutionary view, you would actually hold that random mutation would be basically the source mechanism for building highly precise, task oriented systems, right? Inside the body.
Sure. There's a little bit of stuff that's not quite, I don't think, uh, being represented quite correctly. Sure, we observe random mutations occurring, so we're aware of this particular phenomenon, right? We're also
Mhm.
aware of particular functionality, new functionality arising due to random mutations. We've seen that happen in a couple of different places, right? There doesn't appear to be any particular meaning or specificity to the particular, information that we have. In some sense, it feels, like it was developed from some type of random stochastic,
Okay.
pathing into the past, right?
Let's start there. Let's stop
And
there. That's a lot. Let's just start
okay,
with what you said
sure,
there.
sure.
Um, how do you determine the thing you're observing is random?
How do you determine? Well, we can cause it to happen, and we know the mechanisms by which it happens,
That
right?
wouldn't be random then. If you could actually replicate it, then you know the cause, you know the sequence of dominoes
Well,
falling. It wouldn't be random anymore.
when we say replicate, we mean we could replicate the fact that, bits are flipping in the DNA at random.
How do you know it's
And
random? You're just asserting it's random. I asked you for a methodology.
well, okay, so if you want to, the word random is used in science to typically refer to basically our knowledge and how we would model or categorize the information that we're witnessing, right? So
Methodology.
if the only way to categorize it is through the use of a probability density function, we call that random. Now,
Yeah.
you could say philosophically maybe nothing's random, but that would be irrelevant to whether or not we would call it random in a
That's fine. I just
scientific
want to.
paper.
That's fine if you just want to use the term
Okay.
random to use the term random to mean that you don't fully understand its full cause with all the variables. That's fine.
Well, some
Now
of
you're.
these things are proven out. Some of these things are proven out. Like so for example, there are many phenomenon that we witness in which we can demonstrate that there is no bias being exhibited, meaning that the particular phenomenon is literally doing a pure stochastic process, right?
Okay, that's fine. That if I just grant you that random just means that you don't have all the variables, so you don't know. You're just to your
It's more it's
observation.
more
It's
than
like
it's more than that. That
okay.
there are some phenomenon where the knowledge of the variables is insufficient, right?
Okay.
Sorry,
Yeah, we
let me
don't
say it
know.
this way.
That's what I literally said. That you
No,
don't
no,
have access to all
I
the
didn't.
variables,
I
right?
didn't
So
say it correctly. I didn't say it correctly. There's some phenomenon where the variables you would want to measure, you would hypothesize they have a measurement. I just haven't witnessed it yet, right? But in reality, they don't actually have a solution. There is no
okay.
measurement,
Okay.
right? And so there is some phenomenon that doesn't fit in what you're
Okay.
saying. We don't have
Can you
answers, right?
okay, that's fine. Forget about how we categorize it. The mechanism,
Hmm.
the instance of a random mutation producing, because for the most part, random mutations are they're neutral or they're harmful in the
Hmm.
smaller amount that you're appealing to for the grand mass narrative of evolution are the ones that produce something beneficial. Can you
Hmm.
explain to me from the evolutionary view how random mutation and add in any other mechanism you want, how random
Hmm.
mutation produces something as complex as the vestibular system?
I mean, over an incredibly long time, right? I mean, it didn't happen immediately, and it
So it just
happened
happened.
through.
That's your explanation of how it
Well,
happened is that it happened.
we can witness, right, taxonomical smearing throughout the entire animal kingdom at present, meaning that any particular system of interest, like for example the eye or the nervous system or whatever it is you want to take a look at, it doesn't really matter. We literally witness every possible variant, size, usage, different
Accidental properties?
ways in which it connects to the brain,
No,
right?
no, 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 no,
And
no, no, Robbie. Sorry to interrupt, but what's in question
Bobby.
is how random mutation connects things to the brain so that they're hyper functional and specialized. What's in question is how does random mutation inside of a population manufacture and engineer highly specific task oriented systems? You said it just happens. We can see the
Hmm.
smearing of
Right.
populations in this taxonomy. No, to get taxonomy among populations need to already have all of their body parts, right, that are proper to their form, right? That's why you can.
Sure.
That's why you can actually put something in a category, even temporarily and arbitrarily, like a mammal. You have to hold that
Hmm.
a mammal, under the evolutionary view, actually comes from a non-mammal eventually, back when, way back when. And so what I'm asking is
Sure.
not just a question of the particular, how does random mutation produce highly specialized task-oriented system like the vestibular system? How does it do it
Hmm.
mechanically? I'm also asking how does the collection, the aggregate of all accidental mutations and properties changing in a population actually
Hmm.
change the essential nature, the essential properties of what something is? Those two questions, all I get from the Evo proponent is, well, there's a lot of time and it just happens. We don't quite understand it, but random mutation really does produce a really high complex vestibular system on both sides of the ears that's capable of transmitting really complex signals through electrochemical solutions that are
Hmm.
incidental.
Incidental. But
Incidental.
so so in general, right, creatures are made up of a variety of different parts, some of which are, remnants of past forms or whatever, right? Some of
Proto.
which are useful, some of which are not useful or whatnot. I'm not sure exactly what you're asking for because you're asking about random mutations and
How does the
the
mechanism
selection.
Dude,
And
I mean, why are you acting like you don't understand the question?
let me
How
finish.
does random mutation, the
Okay.
action of random mutation inside the body, produce over time highly specialized task-oriented systems?
It does so through our understanding of how the evolutionary process works. There are
Circular.
environmental pressures, right? And those pressures, right, exhibit particular random phenomenon as being useful or, helping for the thing to pass on its gene, and hence it does so, right?
It doesn't.
The things that die off, they don't get to pass on their gene, right? That's the way the
No.
evolution works, right?
No, I'm sorry, Bobby.
Now,
Bobby, sorry, Bobby. No, don't.
now,
Please, just stop.
hang on, hang
Stop.
on.
That was an answer. Hold
Hang
on.
on, I let
That's
you
fine.
go for a while, man. You
Yeah,
can let me
let's
talk
give
for just a
him
half a second.
let's give him a
dude.
solid
It's just
I'm not-
that he's
20
not
I don't know
seconds
why
here.
you're being so aggressive. I'm not trying to be
Because I
aggressive
think
with you.
evolution is a massive lie, and you can't defend it, and it's
Okay,
offensive
well,
that people
I
believe it.
also think that your pseudoscience is a massive lie.
You
but
don't
I'm
even
not
know what
yelling at
science
you about
is.
it.
All right,
You don't
guys,
even know what science is.
Let's get it back on
gave
track
a
here.
very clear understanding of
Bobby,
what science
you're
was.
eating into the time that we
Evolution
can give you
is
right now.
pseudoscience.
Okay.
All right, take 20 seconds
So
here. Get it up.
all I wanted to point out was you're asking for particular mechanisms as though there's a particular, creature or thing in the cell that somehow is doing evolutionary directed bias stuff or whatever. And this is simply not the case, right? Evolution is going to work with random mutations and species, right? It goes through the entire species, and things that are, that don't do anything, they propagate through the species. Things that are bad, they have a tendency to die off. Things that are really useful get picked up by the species and
I
propagated
understand,
really
dude.
easily,
I
right?
understand.
And
Now
the
stop.
point
This
is,
is all
That was
the
30
point,
bullshit,
the
man.
point
Bobby.
is that not only do we witness these things happening today, because we can actually see this happening or cause them in the laboratory. For example, we bombard bacteria with radiation and we literally cause random mutations to come up with, different particular phenomenon or particular,
Damage.
All right,
useful
do
features.
we want
or
to go
whatever,
to timed
right?
responses
No.
here?
I just wanted to say one more
Please.
thing, which is we also do this in computers, right? We literally generate models using random, right? We start out random matrices, we generate neural networks.
That's not random, dude.
It is the
It's a
float
person
points are
doing it.
random.
It's literally a person doing it. It's not random. There's
How's that
intentionality, bro.
That just simply means that the environment is set up to exhibit these particular pressures.
Set up randomly or not?
Yes. So Earth has particular pressures, right?
How do you set up something randomly?
Does Earth exhibit all possible states of entropy? No, right? It literally has specific environmental
Cool.
pressures.
I'm gonna ask the same question, bro.
Just like what we do in neural networks.
That's
right?
great. That's actually the opposite of random. Human beings with intentionality, right? Let me talk. Stop. Human beings with intentionality, setting up things, setting up models is the opposite of random, first of all. Second of all, I want to point out that you're totally avoiding the question. How does random mutation produce the thing that natural selection is going to be selecting for? Let's make it more simple. There's a factory. Things are made in a factory. Isn't it true that something has to be made in the factory before it goes to quality control? Yes or no?
You asked me a previous question before that question.
Isn't it true that random mutation, right, that produces something that happens in the factory? Isn't it true that has to be produced before random natural selection could make a mindless decision on whether or not it's advantageous or not? It has to exist first. So
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble following what you're asking. Can you make it more clear?
Yeah, I'll make it clear. Random mutation through whatever device produces a trait. Only after it produces a trait does natural selection determine whether it's advantageous or not.
True. Yeah.
Okay. I'm not getting to natural selection yet. I'm asking you in the factory, not in the quality control. I'm asking you in the factory part of this. How does random mutation produce something like a vestibular system? How does it produce something like complex mixture of proteins with syringes that come out of rattlesnakes' mouths? You have to hold that
Sure.
random mutation, this event, a collection of these events, actually engineer highly specialized things like fangs, right? You have to hold that. So I'm asking you simply,
Sure,
how does
but
that happen?
well, by random mutations, right? But not all at once. Do you think that like a single mutation was like poof, massive fangs and,
No,
caused blood? Of course not,
no,
right? But
I
you're
don't think
aware
that.
that, yeah, neither does
Cool. Tell me what
evolution.
you think then.
Oh, okay, excellent. So
How does random
evolu
mutation, an aggregate accumulation, right? How does
yes,
an
ev
accumulation of random mutation build a fang, build a vestibular system? Tell me.
again, through morphologic time, right? We have small mutations that accumulate until they become larger, right?
Okay.
I'm
Okay. Oh my
confused by
gosh.
this.
How does the accumulation of random mutations produce highly specialized things like fangs? You just restate that it does.
It
Oh, well,
it
I'm so glad you
wasn't
asked, Jim
aiming.
Bob. Accumulation of random mutation actually builds it. Yeah. How? How does it do it?
It wasn't directed, and in fact, it didn't just build fangs. It built all kinds of other random
How?
stuff
How?
because there was random mutations that exhibited new features. You
That's the
just went over
assertion, bro.
this.
That's the assertion. Do you know the difference
No,
between
it
an assertion
isn't.
and an
That's
explanation?
not the assertion. That's
Okay,
incorrect.
Bobby, is this an assertion? Random mutation produced highly specialized features like vestibular systems. Is that an assertion?
I suppose it's literally an assertion.
Great. Now, can you tell me another form of a sentence that's not identical to that assertion that explains how that happens mechanically, please?
Yeah, we went over the statements that are used in the definition of evolution, right? There are pressures, there's environmental pressures. If a random mutation is bad, it typically kills off that particular creature. They do not propagate their gene through the species. If things are good or neutral, they don't do anything. They sit there within the species. If random mutations show up in accumulation, right, that were benign, but then provided some particular very useful feature that propagates through the species because it's very useful to the
How,
environment.
look, how does the beginning of random mutation that's happening in the organism or at the population level
Mhm.
produce mechanically the feature? If I asked you how is a car
It
made, you would,
doesn't.
it doesn't build it. So random mutation doesn't
There
build highly specialized
many,
features.
many, many random mutations don't do anything.
Great.
It
So
isn't until
what
they're
builds great.
accumulated.
So what builds a vestibular system?
Random mutations.
That's a contradiction.
No, it isn't.
Random
We do it
mutations
in the
don't build things.
computer. We
They do it in
literally
a
do it in the
computer.
computer.
You do it in a
We
computer.
Yes, I just pointed out, we create a neural
Minecraft.
network. We
Minecraft.
literally randomize, right? Matrices, random. And if you want, we could literally randomize the matrices using the environment. So we could like hook up a chip and literally use quantum mechanics to randomize the matrices to make them truly random,
So
right?
okay, so
And
your
then we
answer
can
is
train on that, and the environment, we're basically killing off branches. We're not
okay.
allowing these particular paths to be taken, right?
Okay.
There's even generative model where we literally cut out
A
sections
model.
of it, right?
Okay.
We cut out
So
sections of it.
okay.
The fact that it's called a model doesn't in any way
Model. Yeah.
detract from what I'm saying,
Amazing.
right?
Okay. No, it does because it's literally outside. You're getting into
Why?
engineering. So let me actually make the distinction for you.
What would
When you
that
observe,
matter?
I'll tell you all what it matters because models are not actual to biology. Models are not biology, dude.
Says anyone that has,
Is a
a
computer
mechanical
biology?
arm?
Yeah, a mechanical arm is not a biological one. That's why we call it a mechanical arm.
But it's their arm and it is for biology.
Dude,
We
is
even
there a
do
distinction between a
we
mechanical arm and a biological
we
one?
we
Is there a
even do
distinction? Stop it, Bobby. Is there a difference between a mechanical arm and a biological one?
it depends on what you mean by difference,
Is there a
right?
difference between computer and a tree?
Sure. There's differences.
Are computers
Yes.
found in nature naturally?
Yes.
Computers are found in nature naturally.
Are all of the elements of a computer part
I
of
didn't ask if
nature?
the elements. Stop. I didn't
It
ask for the
sounded
elements.
like you were asking if everything ultimately is found in nature, and the answer
No,
to
I
that
didn't
is
ask that.
yes.
No, I
Oh,
literally
okay.
didn't ask that
Well,
question.
earlier I had asked you about the scientific method stuff that we were going through, and you said, oh, okay, we'll use the definition that you wanted to use. I was like, okay, fine. And then you changed in the middle of it and wanted to talk about, what was it, ultimate experiments? Everything ultimately comes from an experiment, right? And so then, like, here, the exact same thing. And I'm like, okay, well, so we build computers, humans, right? We
That's
don't
right.
find those in the jungle.
That's right.
Excellent.
Yeah. Thank you for the distinction. So when I asked
Mhm.
you, how does random mutation produce highly specialized things like a brain, like a liver, like all of
Yes.
the rest of the organisms in the body that are specifically tasked in the body, and they have mereological relations to other
Mhm.
organs in the body, right? It's a big system that all works together. Evolution holds that random mutation, among other mechanisms, produces, engineers essentially, highly complex task-oriented systems that do things precisely in the body, that do
Yes.
something, right?
Yes. Yes.
I simply ask, how does that happen? And all I heard
Yes.
was that it happened.
We, well, one, we witness it happening, like I'd already pointed out. But two, I pointed out that we could simulate this happening as
Simulation
we've
isn't
done
an
in
observation,
computers.
man.
What are you
If I
suggesting, like, when we
simulated God's
eh,
creation, does that mean God's creation happened?
what?
If I could
No.
simulate God creating a
How?
world, does that mean, listen, focus. If I can simulate a unicorn jumping over a cliff and diving into a pool for a unicorn baptism party, does it mean that that happened?
What? No.
Thank
If
you.
you are doing, if we have particular models, right, and you are doing a simulation with respect to those particular models, they may tell us something about how the real world works. For
Or not.
example, they have done simulations of different types of, like, rockets, right? And in general, that directs the research of how we're going to construct the rockets. How are we going to put the
Yeah.
mechanisms in place? How is the
Yes.
plasma going
Yes.
to
Thank
work with
you.
stuff,
Thank you.
right?
That's a great
So,
distinction, Bobby. Thank you for
so the
bringing
point
that up. Why?
is,
No, hold on.
right?
Let's know one thing at a time. I'm so glad you brought up rockets, which is engineering. You simulated a rocket to further investigate what might happen based on your existing knowledge of a rocket, which is based in experiment.
There are things that we simulate that we haven't invented yet.
That doesn't make them real.
No, but that is part of the scientific inquiry. And so for you to dismiss things like a
No, that's
simulation,
engineering.
no, you're basically saying that if I simulate something in a computer and the objective is to try to learn about how some particular mechanism works, that's somehow inappropriate or something, when
No, I'm
literally that
saying
has been part of the scientific
no.
process forever,
I'm
right?
saying that if you can simulate something, it doesn't follow that the thing you're simulating actually happened. It's not a controversial position.
No one is saying it
You
actually
literally
happened,
said
but
it.
no one is saying it actually
You
happened. Like,
literally
literally,
said it.
well, then I take back whatever it is you
Thank
think I
you.
said. So, no one is saying that the experiment you're doing is literally happening. The experiment may be providing insight about what does happen,
Great.
right?
So, how do you determine
So,
that random mutation built a vestibular system? How do you determine that
so
happened?
like I've said, we can simulate the fact that random mutations, right, can lead to functionality. So, like,
That's not random.
why are you saying it's not random when the
Because you just
matrices are
said,
random?
when you say you simulate something, does that require intent and knowledge?
What?
When
No,
you
you have no
simulate
idea what the
something,
values are going to be.
wait,
None.
axiomatic. When you simulate something, is that a mind with intention doing something?
Again, we already agreed to the word random being the word that talks about what our understanding of the information is.
How does the
Our
computer know what random means if it's not coded?
We can't, if I take a collection of data measured from some natural
Bro.
phenomenon outside. No, why are you not letting me?
Because you're not
talk to
answering
you?
my question. When someone
Let me-
simulates something, aren't they coding what they determine colloquially they're saying is random?
No, they're not.
They're not?
No.
Okay.
Not when it's a random matrix. So let me
How do
say
you
it
know
again.
it's a random matrix if it's built by a human?
I'm trying to tell you. So if you go outside and you take some data from some phenomenon, like for example, I don't know, the wind moving around or the tree leaves growing or whatever it is that you want to take a look at, right? And you tabulate that information and you normalize it and you put some bounds on it.
You mean the
right?
laws of physics?
Yeah, you can generate data. And
You mean from the laws of physics?
in theory, right, that data would look random, right? You could
Not
just
look
hash it if you want.
no, Bobby, sorry.
No, just
not
hash
to look,
it and make it look random,
not
right?
to
Then
look
it looks
random. We're not talking about looking random, okay? A lot of things look random, right?
There's
We're not
no
talking about that.
difference.
Yes, there
There's
is
no
a difference.
No,
Do-
there
does
isn't.
it-
That's what I'm
do-
telling you.
I'm sorry. When you roll on a like a like a board, you know, like the when you go to Vegas or something, right? And you go to the roulette table, doesn't it look ostensibly random when the ball lands on a number?
Why do we care about a single instance of a distribution?
I'm giving an example of why a constrained system that's built by
this is completely irrelevant.
Bobby, when you simulate randomness, it's not true randomness. This is not controversial.
You granted that.
So what you mean by random is not random, right?
I said the word random in general refers to the fact that the best understanding we have of a phenomenon is that it fits a particular PDF. You said, oh, let's call that the colloquial definition, right? And I said, and then you said that that's fine. We can use that definition. I said to you already earlier that if you want to take the philosophical position that there is no such thing as random, sure. But when it comes to scientific inquiry, the very simple statement of this is random is simply a discussion about the distribution that set of data fits. And so I'm pointing out the stuff outside and the stuff that I simulate in a computer are both random. They both fit the same PDF. They both fit the same phenomenon. I can't distinguish between the two. If I were to cover up the tops and then hand them to a colleague, they wouldn't be able to tell which one is which. That is what we call random simulation, right?
Okay, great. So you simulated randomly random mutation building vestibular system.
Not that, but we can simulate lots of things.
Okay, so you're not going to actually tell me how random mutation produces a vestibular system.
I'm sure we could do it on like a larger level if you wanted. But in general, we're going to study things on the individual parts that we're capable of doing in like a computer or a simulation.
Okay, let's move to another topic of evolution,
Well,
which is essential.
Hang on. I want to make sure that we're on the same page here. You agree, right, that we can start out programs in a random state and through environmental pressures alone, converge them into a useful function. Right? Meaning that we didn't do anything to them.
No.
I don't know why you say we don't agree when we literally like you're holding a computer that
because a computer executes commands, Bobby.
Yes.
We got 10 minutes left, guys.
Does a computer not ever is there such a thing as a computer that definitionally, analytically isn't identical to a machine that executes commands?
It depends on what you mean by that. I mean, technically, a quantum computer is a little trickier.
Does someone make a quantum computer to execute commands?
You run quantum programs on quantum computers.
Okay, so if you're going to use the simulation as a reflection of nature, are you saying that you need someone to simulate nature to direct the execution of commands?
If you're very much concerned about the random state of a program, you can buy chips that literally.
You didn't even hear my question, man. Listen to my question. If you're using simulation, which is guided and directed by executed commands given by a mind, are you saying that if that's an accurate reflection of nature, are you saying that nature requires some sort of programmer?
I am not understanding what you're saying. We don't.
Okay, let's move on then if you don't understand it.
No,
Okay, so
I'd
okay,
like to understand what you're saying.
I'm saying that you're using simulation as something that's indiscernible in data from nature, but simulation is constructed by man. And you're saying man could execute commands inside of a computer to produce or reproduce what ostensibly looks like randomness in nature, but a mind is doing that.
Sure, you could say a mind, but I didn't say all. I don't know why you keep elevating everything from all when there exists an
Okay,
example.
I'm
No
just saying
one, no one,
computing requires a mind.
no one looks at Minecraft and goes, ah, there's an example of us learning something about physics, right? But when someone sees a very robust, very large simulation of, like,
Mm.
how a burn rate works for some particular jet
Okay.
engine, right?
Hmm.
Then they take that data and they're like, that seems to be the correct way for us to do this.
Hmm.
Let's actually go try to build the thing this way,
Okay,
right?
cool. Do you believe that the Pakicetus had accumulated a bunch of accidental property changes through random mutation and in 53 million years produced the whale as we know it today?
Yes, all of the
Okay.
data that we have lines up with that
Just a
exact
yes or
model,
okay, this is
right?
data needs to be interpreted, by the way.
We
I
have the
didn't ask for a story about it.
taxonomical
Hey, stop
data,
wasting time. I
right?
didn't ask for your justification for it. I just asked you if you believe that.
Well, this is supposed to be a conversation, Jim Bob.
Well, hold on. No, no,
I'm
you're
not
just
trying to be
stalling.
mean to you,
You
man.
I didn't ask I didn't
It is
say
a
you're
debate,
mean.
gentlemen.
Okay. I'm asking you, is there something essentially different about a whale than a Pakicetus?
I mean, they're different, right? I
So
don't know
that's a
when the
yes.
time frame was that a
Okay.
Pakicetus lived. You'd have to tell me the
I understand.
years.
Well, no, they say 53 million years ago. So if there's
Okay,
something
so then they would
essential,
they would clearly not be modern whales, right?
is there something that's an essential property that makes a whale and not a Pakicetus?
Did whales come from a Pakicetus?
That's your model. Pakicetus evolved,
If
dipped its toe
if
in the
they
hold on, dipped its toe in
it,
the ocean, learned how to eat a crab, and suddenly
sure.
found its way further and further to the ocean. And random mutation actually happened, and they reorganized their body plan to add fat and temperature control and mating capabilities and defense models and all these things, right? And it became the
Did a
whale today.
Pakicetus not have any of those?
Well, the thing is, what I'm asking is there anything essential that makes a whale versus not whale? Is there anything essential about that makes a whale that makes
I'm
other
sure
things
that
that
there's a list. I'm sure there's a
okay,
list of taxonomical features
great.
that distinguish whales,
That's
modern
fine.
whales.
Let's take one. That's a mammal.
Okay, great.
Is there an
That's an
essential
example.
great in biology through the evolutionary view? Is it
Uh-huh.
true that there's one essential property that makes a mammal a mammal?
One? No, I think
At
there's a
least.
bunch, right?
No, no, at least one.
At least. Yeah, of course,
Okay,
right?
cool. Isn't it true that from the evolutionary view that mammals had to be the product of something that wasn't a mammal if you go back far enough?
Sure. Yeah.
So then how could you say there's an essential property to a mammal if the essential property is actually an accidental property that's acquired over time?
What? No, it's a categorization. We live today and we see things in the past, and then we want to give names to these categories.
So
And
you know
so
what
we do
essential
so.
means versus accidental?
Are you saying that all the names that we give animals today need to
I
be
didn't ask for
perfect?
names. I did not ask for the name. I'm asking for the referent. Do you know the difference
So
between the
the
name? Hold
word
on. You're not listening. Do you know the difference between the reference and the referent?
I have no idea.
Okay, the referent is the object you're referring to with a name. You could name a whale banana cake. It doesn't matter the sound coming out of your mouth. What I'm talking about isn't the arbitrary sound of the category mammal. I'm talking about the essential property, which would be based in nature. Let's take mammary glands.
Well,
Our
then
mammary,
there wouldn't be a way to distinguish.
thank you. There wouldn't be because there isn't from an evolutionary view. You know why? Because everything you think is an essential property of a whale, in starting with the mammary glands, is actually
Uh-huh.
not an essential property because it comes from a long process that didn't include mammary glands.
So that fine. That isn't how we
Fine.
talk about it in science, right? In science, when we categorize these things, we have to pick names, right? That if you zoomed in on the boundaries would become fuzzy or difficult, right? But overall, we need names in order for people to distinguish what fields they're studying or what particular
Nominalism.
phylogeny that they're looking at or whatnot. And so the
Yeah.
point is that we've named mammals, and we typically have a very basic set of criteria. Animals that have this go into this category. Now you come across something like the fucking duck-billed platypus. Everyone goes, well,
Nope,
probably
still has
a
mammary
mammal,
glands.
right?
No, well, it's still, well, why? Why do we still hold the platypus
Right.
and the other one
Like
I forget the name of? Why?
That is literally what I just said, is that the boundaries are going to be fuzzy.
No, why
if
do
you
we
want specificity?
I'm asking you, why do we call a platypus a mammal still?
You'd have to ask the biologist why we named
I'm
it that.
telling
Like,
you because it has mammary.
why did we name Pluto a planet?
tell you
and
why,
then demote
bro.
it?
I'm telling you why. I'm literally telling you your own dogma, dude. You call it a mammal because it has the one essential property that all mammals share, mammary glands. The fact that it lays eggs doesn't actually remove it from the category of mammal. Why? Because you assume in categorizing things that things have essential properties. Do you understand my argument? I really wish you would push it back to me so I know you understand it. Evolution holds, Bobby, that in the biological world, there are distinctions between animals. And the distinctions you make between animals, reptiles and mammals and the rest of these things, at least one of those distinctions would be held as an essential property, not an accidental property. The difference between the accidental property and the essential property is you and I are humans, right? Yes? There's an essential property that makes us humans, right? But you have red hair and I have black hair.
It depends on what you mean by essential, because for
I mean,
you're going in and out of properties that we would talk about today versus properties that go into the past versus properties that cross over taxonomical lines versus the boundary conditions of different words we invent, right?
That's right.
So like if you're going to swap back and forth between those, you're obviously just going to cause a lot of confusion for people.
No.
So
don't go that route.
This is
Stop. That's well poisoning. That's just total well poisoning.
This is why I made it clear, right? The word mammal is understood. It means to hold these particular criteria. If you need to put in front of those, almost always in front of each one, then go ahead and do that.
No, here, I'll get to the process. Bobby,
it isn't meant to be a perfect
This
thing.
is all
It's not a
obfuscating, man.
perfect
You got a
word.
minute,
There's
15
I didn't
no
ask if you
perfect
thought it was
word.
perfect, bro. I
Right?
just asked you if there's an essential property, a singular one, essential property that makes a mammal a mammal. The answer is yes.
Based on how you're using essential properties, the answer would be no, right?
Okay, great.
Because
That's
you're
fine
referring
too.
all the way to the past.
That's fine too, because evolution holds that eventually you have to say that a thing that has an essential property that makes it what it is actually comes from a process and a time where it doesn't hold that essential property. That is to say, a thing that
Excellent.
that is to say, a whale in its illusory state of having an essential property of whaleness actually comes from something that's not whale. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. By what reasoning or method did you determine something that we see today, actually, it's reasonable to hold that it actually comes from something it's not?
Something that we see today didn't, because we see that happen. We have examples of that happening.
When do you have an
models of
example?
that happening?
No, stop it. I don't want a story. Tell me an example of something producing something today you can observe. Listen to the question. Tell me an example of something you witnessed today where you observe an organism that in its production, its reproduction, produces something it's not.
So to be clear, you were at first talking about particular features, right? And the fact that features of a particular animal go back into the past and have to have come from a time in which that feature wasn't available. You then switch to some type of philosophical, definitiveness of what a particular thing is, and that a thing came from something that it wasn't in the past or whatever.
Isn't that true from your view?
This is just fallacious, right?
What's the fallacy?
Evolution. Because we don't use that
What's
type of
the
terminology
fallacy?
when we're talking about evolution.
What's the fallacy?
Evolution states you
What's
don't
the fallacy,
leave,
Bobby?
You don't leave your taxonomical,
you don't leave your
clade,
clade,
whatever it is.
Got it. So that's
Correct.
even cool. Is there an essential property that makes something in one clade and not the other?
After this one,
We just
Bobby, we
said
can
no,
hit the
not in the way
closings.
you use essential properties.
There it is, guys. Okay, so he says It's fallacious.
No, it's not. There it is, guys. You're literally switching between the two
You literally
usages.
you couldn't name the
You're
fallacy,
going
first
between
of
a
all.
philosophical definition and the
What
again,
definitions aren't philosophical?
non-precise scientific definitions used
Are
for
scientific definitions
categorizing
philosophical?
animals. No, why would they be philosophical?
Scientific categories and scientific distinctions aren't philosophical.
That is not what we call philosophical. When I'm talking
Great.
about biology and cells and whatnot, we don't
Great.
call that part of philosophy.
Bobby, is there anything that's
Can
essential?
they be talked about
Bobby,
philosophically?
is
Sure.
there any
Why
essential
not?
Bobby, is there any essential property that puts something in one clade and not the other?
Based on the way you're using essential properties, the answer again is no.
So there's no real distinctions.
We have taxonomy and possibly even DNA, right? That we use to categorize creatures into particular clades. That is so. Yes,
Is DNA essential to the animal?
Yes, we have properties we define for particular clades. That is not what the way you're using essential properties, because you're saying where is something that is a guarantee forever into the past and forever into the future.
I just asked, look,
to
dude,
be a part of this clade.
This is
you
total.
can do one more question or answer, and then I'm gonna let him do the closing first.
All I asked.
All I asked,
trying to
he
switch
just said
between the two. He just said I could talk.
Yeah. One more question, then Bobby, do your closings.
All I asked was, do you believe that one animal actually is the result many, many years in a process that's produced from something it's not? The answer is yes. I asked you, first of all, to be I'm talking
you just
right now.
lied again.
Does a whale?
Response.
You already admitted, and you can rewind it, that you admitted that a mammal, the category called mammals, that has an essential property at minimum, that it has mammary glands, actually is the product of a long process at which far back in time is produced by something that's not a mammal. So I asked you a simple question, Bobby. I asked you a simple question. All I asked you was, can you give an account or a justification why one ought believe that an animal of one category is actually the product of a different category animal, no matter how long the time is? And you know what we got? Nothing. We got nothing from you.
All right, Bobby, if you want to do a quick response and then go into your closing, we're going to do 2 to 4 minute closing statements and get into the Q&A.
Sure.
Start the timer.
So I find the disingenuousness here to be a little bit like just silly, right? Obviously, we use words to try to categorize animals, to then extend that to saying that we have guaranteed philosophical definitions that go into the past indefinitely is not what was meant by providing those particular definitions. Mammals is a particular category that only extends so far back in time. And in general, the way that we define these things is that anything that is a mammal is going to stay being a mammal indefinitely. That is what that word means, and that's also how evolution is stated. Evolution is that when you're in a particular category, you're going to remain in that category indefinitely, right? Now, for Jim Bob to get upset that the category is not perfectly defined because there's taxonomical smearing across the entire animal kingdom, that's just an upsetment of the fact that we cannot be so incredibly precise. There's always going to be edge cases. There's always going to be complexities. There's always going to be fuzziness at the border, right? And so the point is that switching vocabulary words and then saying, oh, so you're saying that something came from some other categorically different thing, that's just being completely disingenuous and fallacious. Obviously, that is not what is being said when we define these words, right? These words are just used to try to categorize animals, and that is all that is meant by mammal. No one was saying that when you go into the past and there's some other categories of stuff, that the things that are today aren't called those things too, right? So like if there's the category of, what is it, great apes, right? We're still great apes. We're in that category, right? And so to be like, oh, well, the great apes aren't humans, right? Well, yeah, they're not literally the same thing, right? Because those words mean different things, right? I don't know. It's just a semantics game. It seems really silly.
All right, you gonna concede the rest of your time?
Sure.
Bobby?
Yeah, sure.
All right, I'm gonna reset the clock 2 to 4 minutes.
What's that? How many minutes? 4 minutes? Okay.
2 to 4. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that last bit was really
Mm.
essential, no pun intended, because when we say a whale comes from something that's not a whale, I simply ask the Evo proponent, what gives you this view that something that exists today as a category that has its essential properties, actually, if far back enough in time, is actually the product of something it's not. He says nothing ever leaves its clade. Okay. Well, now you have to now you actually have to distinguish what distinguishes one clade from the other. Now it just kicks the can down the road. He's saying it's very blurry as far as what a whale is and when it becomes a whale from not a whale. That doesn't mean that we can't talk about a whale. Okay, fine. Let's go to the clade. It never leaves its clade, right? Okay. Well, now you have the same problem with the clade. I ask the same proponents every time I debate them. What's the essential property for a given animal that puts it in one clade and not the other? And you get the same answer. You keep going back and back. They just keep kicking the can down the road. In fact, the evolutionary view can only hold that there's only one true category of animal, and that's the ones that are alive, which tells us nothing. It's a completely regressive definition for living organisms. Now, I want to also highlight early in the debate, the opponent couldn't actually take us through the scientific method. He actually argued sometimes the scientific method is needed. Sometimes it's not for a scientific theory. He went into modeling as some sort of substitute for understanding the biological world, which it's not. Modeling is not a substitute for observation in reality. You can model what you observe, but you can't just model something you didn't observe and say it's real because you could model it. That's absurd. That's pseudoscience. The irony tonight is that evolution is demonstrably pseudoscience mixed with some philosophy. And you know it's pseudoscience because for something to be called pseudoscience, you're actually necessitating what I'm affirming, some strict criterion for what constitutes science, the process, the method, right? You can't call something pseudoscience if the scientific method is completely arbitrary and you don't even need it to begin with, right? Now, the defeater here tonight is the contradiction that I produced and I was able to demonstrate through his own position, which is there are essential properties to make one thing a thing. There are no essential properties that make one thing a thing. Things are themselves. They always come from things that they are in reproduction, except for if you go back far enough, there's one sort of divergence that happens that we never observe, but we're going to assume it because I put it in my computer and I built a Minecraft simulator for it and I played games, right? This is absurd. The opponent is actually a pseudoscientist. He couldn't even distinguish between mathematics and science, the activity of science. He couldn't distinguish that math is descriptive versus science, which is explanatory. Math doesn't explain phenomenon, it describes it. He thinks math describes phenomenon or explains phenomenon. It doesn't. Models don't actually develop scientific theories. They help with engineering and that's it. So if evolution is true, everything we are today, by nature, we don't have a nature, basically. We come from a long lineage of things that we're not. This is irrational to say. In really plain, natural English, evolution says we come from a long lineage of things that we're not. That's not intuitive. That's not scientifically demonstrated. That's philosophically incoherent. It violates the law of identity. And the cult of evolution, it produces. Every one of my opponents is a product of mass scale propaganda that they can't defend in real time. They just assert that it happens. How do you know random mutation built a vestibular system? Because it did. That's all we got tonight, and I predicted it, and I can predict it every single time I debate an Evo proponent. I don't care if you're a mathematician. I don't care if you're a PhD. Give me the best Evo proponent, the one you guys venerate the most. They will all end up in the same silence.
Okay, that was the time. And if you guys want to take a quick restroom or coffee break before we get started on the Q&A.
Coffee.
Awesome. You ready? Bobby, you need to take a quick break?
I'm good.
Cool. Well, then we will get right into it, guys. It says there's just under 700 of you in the chat. If you could like the video, do us a solid. That'd be awesome. Much appreciated. And then get your tickets to DebateCon 9 if you can make it to Orlando. That's going to be super fun. And I'll be there. A bunch of the homies in the chat will be there. And then we got water slide attached to the hotel that you all have free access to if you stay at the hotel when you buy the link through the Modern Day Debate link in the description. Okay. we are going to get into it. Lenny Grad sends $10 and he says, I just want one debate where someone is very annoyed to be here and feels no joy about it. Preferably some rage and disgust instead. Okay. Thank you, Lenny. That was not a question. JD for 2 says, whoa, Jim Bob, put those guns away. Yeah, that's TOS, bro. Okay, next up, we got Anthony Ferrante for 10. He says, Q for Jim Bob. You said a lot about essential properties here. Would having shoulders be an essential property of humans? If so, would you be considered a human?
No, actually, no. You can be born without shoulders.
Do you have any comment on that, Bobby?
I'm working on
agree. You could be born without shoulders. That is true.
All right, now we got a stimulating dialogue here. Okay, left-hand assassin for 5. Sup, Big Mike? Hello, sir. Mr. Jack 79 for 10 says, bruh, this isn't science, let alone even scientism at this point. Literally just scientists incoherently making theories that aren't even coherent with each other. Incoherent theories. With each other's incoherent theories is what I think he meant to say. I'll let Bobby, if you want to respond to that one.
That sounds weird. I mean, hopefully you're not typing on a pocket computer as you're sending in that chat, right? You know, invented by people like me. Like, it's kind of ridiculous to be like, scientists are all trying to lie and deceive us, right? As we literally use their technology every day to do things, you know? I don't know.
All right, Jim Bob, would you like to say something about that?
No, I mean, I think there's a necessary distinction between applied science and natural science. You don't need to apply everything you gain from natural science, but you could. You could also develop engineering without doing the scientific method. You could build and engineer bridges just from trial and error, right? And just observation. It doesn't require high-level mathematic descriptions, nor does it require introducing variables that cause anything. You just kind of do stuff. And we've been building long before the official scientific method was formulated in its bullet points today. So, I mean, I just think there's a necessary distinction, like I said, between math and science. And there's also a necessary distinction between engineering itself and the scientific method. That isn't to say that engineering isn't helped a great deal by the scientific method. It is, but they're distinct.
To say that they're distinct is to somehow suggest that they don't have any overlap with each other, and that's like obviously
no, that's not true.
fallacious.
That's actually not true. That's actually completely
I
false. What you
literally
just said.
consult with physicists. I consult with engineers. We
You
work
literally
on
just said
things
something false.
together in projects, right? There are papers that literally cross fields, like you publish in a physics journal, but it touches
So you think
on
distinct means
engineering.
separate?
And so the point is that when you say things like we can't talk about that because that's engineering, that's silly, right?
I didn't say
doesn't make
that,
any
Bobby. You're
sense.
just lying
In
about
the
what I
debate, you
said.
did.
All I said,
Yes.
Bobby, is there's a difference between engineering and the scientific method. And I didn't say they can't
No,
overlap
there
just
isn't.
because there isn't a
There
distinction
isn't.
between engineering and the scientific method.
There's a distinction in that they're
Thank
not
you.
identical, but
Thank
there's
you.
overlap in what it is
I
that
didn't
you're
say they're not
describing.
overlap, dude. I said there's overlap. I literally
So
said it in my
when you
statement.
talk about a broad statement like scientific method, right? There's
Yeah.
a lot of components to that. There's the way in which it's approached is different in different fields. There is stuff that is considered, you know, not quite suitable for publication yet. And then there's other things that are like, well, all we have is a model and we need to figure out an experiment, right?
Bobby,
Or over here, we have a model and we have
it's-
the idea of what
it's
the
really simple,
experiment
man.
should be, right?
This
Like,
is like not something you should actually argue against because we both agree on this. You're pretending I don't agree with you. Let me ask you a simple question.
what?
Can I build a bridge without establishing a cause to what makes things fall?
A cause? What do you mean by cause?
Is there a cause? Is there an assumed cause to things falling?
Is there assumed, you mean gravity?
Yeah. Is there an assumed cause to things falling?
Yes, we build bridges because we live on Earth where there's gravity.
You don't even know what I asked you. Can I build a bridge? Can I build a bridge before we understand any formulation mathematically of gravity? Can I build a bridge without understanding or assuming the cause of things falling? Could I just build a
Do
bridge?
we understand the formulation of gravity right now?
Oh my gosh, dude. Can I build a bridge without understanding the current
No,
formulation
I'm
of gravity?
I'm asking you a question.
So you
Do
won't
we
answer my
currently-
question, but you want to ask me a question. Why should
Do
I answer
we
your question if you
currently-
don't? No, I'm not answering your
Do
question. I
we-
just asked you
Do
one,
we
dude.
currently? You've
ahead.
asked
I'm not
me
gonna
a
answer your
zillion
question.
questions.
All
I
right, well,
let you ask me so many
I
questions.
literally just
man.
asked you, can I build a bridge without
I know,
understanding
and
the concept of
clarity
gravity?
the clarity of that question would be made if you answered a question of mine.
You didn't answer my question.
is it possible to do
I
it
know.
first, then ask the question?
It would make more
Bobby?
sense for me to understand and answer your
The
question
answer
if you
is
answered a
yes,
question of mine.
people can build bridges and houses and huts without understanding the cause of the thing that they see a phenomenon of things fall if they're not supported. So you can actually look at the phenomenon of things falling and go, wow, they need support. I don't know what's causing them to fall, but it doesn't stop me from engineering. That demonstrates an example, Bobby, of engineering being possible without understanding mathematically or scientifically what's causing falling.
I asked you if, right, we currently have an understanding of gravity, according
No.
to your definition of understanding.
No.
Okay, so then according to you, no bridges, even today, are built with an understanding of gravity, correct?
No, they're built. This is great. They're built with an understanding of the effect that they observe.
Are they built with an understanding of gravity?
Yeah, if gravity means the effect, then yes. The cause, no.
So, okay. So when you asked originally the cause, you were asking a question in which you believe no bridges are being built with cause or with an understanding of cause.
No bridges need to be built with an understanding or an assumption of causing of gravity. Listen, you're interrupting when I ask you. Ask me a question. I try to answer it, and you interrupt me. Bridges can be built even
times.
Well, let's do one last back and forth, and I'm going to move on.
Bridges can be built today without assuming an understanding of bending space-time or anything like that. Mass attracts mass. You can build a bridge today based on the regularity of observing what constitutes falling for objects. That's all you need. You could mathematically describe them, and you can engineer to high precision bridges and buildings and things that work together just from the mathematical description of an effect. But science isn't about observing just the effect, Bobby. Science is about establishing a likely cause of the effect.
So,
right, quick response, and we're going to move on.
Sure. This playing around with philosophical definitions like cause and effect in this
that's semantic
way,
now.
this is silly, right?
Cause and effect is silly.
That's why it was teased out when Jim Bob says we don't know we don't understand the cause of any bridges built today, or the underlying cause of why we would build bridges today, or however he phrased it. And the point is that this is a demonstration of the silliness of this, right? This is just playing semantics of like, what is the cause for blah blah blah, right? And then you point out, well, are you using cause in some grandiose way so that nothing has a cause? And then apparently Jim Bob got upset at that and then decides, oh, I'm going to go ahead and,
Well, I'm going to go ahead
and
go ahead to the next question.
Sorry.
It's all good.
I'm rambling on.
Do you have the stream pulled up so you can see the timer? Because I'm going to start doing 1 minute timed answers for the $5 questions and 2 minute timed ones for the
I don't
10.
have it pulled up.
Just to keep it a little bit more flow in here so people don't feel discouraged like their question is never going to get answered. Next one is from Big Bad Mama for 5. Jim Bob, you believe that a hyperspeciation event occurred after the global flood. What are the mechanisms that drove this speciation event?
If you're saying speciation is variation within existing species, you can have adaptation. I don't deny adaptation. And what we're finding out more and more when you study the field of what you call evolution, what you're actually discovering is that it's rapid. Actually, the variation that's capable of happening inside a population, the accidental, this is an important distinction, the accidental properties that an organism is capable of undergoing is rapid. It's actually speedy. That's why evolution proponents are going back to the drawing board and trying to establish a model that accounts for the rapid speediness of changes that you see among populations. But that doesn't mean the population in its essential nature changes. It just means that the ability for it to adapt happens actually very quickly, which honestly kind of tilts away from the established dogma of evolution, which is with enough time, with a quadrillion billion years. Well, actually, no, you guys are actually, you used to need more time, but now it's what you're learning when you look at adaptation. You're actually studying that you actually need to come up with a theory that happens faster to account for the observations. Nice try.
All righty. Bobby, if you'd like to take a quick 30-second response to that, since that was directed at Jim Bob, you're welcome to. You don't have to.
Yeah, I don't think any of that is true, obviously. When we look at papers and such, that doesn't seem to be the case. I just did a whole review on the Parsons paper dealing with mitochondrial Eve, who was 145,000 years ago, or was, I don't know. So I counted the number of authors and co-authors. It was in the thousands, right? And so thousands of contributions over 50, years plus, right? All honing in and demonstrating, one particular thing, which is, mitochondrial Eve was probably 145,000 years ago.
Okay.
Probably some African woman, right?
All right. So that was the time there. This next one is for you specifically, Bobby, and then Jim Bob, I'll give you a chance to say something on it as well. Mr. Jax 79 for 10 says, quote, switching definitions. No, Jim Bob is using the original definition, not the made-up definitions used by people like AR used in order to get people to accept their pseudoscience. So I got 2 minutes on the clock here if you want to say something about that. Go ahead.
It's weird calling stuff pseudoscience when you publish in journals or whatnot. But I don't know. Like there's a large body of scientific knowledge that is available, from biologists to dendrochronologists to physicists to engineers to mathematicians, right? And they all collaborate and they all work together. And so to pretend that there's a scientific cabal where we're doing I don't know, blood packs or something in order to lie to people, this is just kind of weird and silly.
Who the fuck said that?
I don't know what pseudoscientists are trying to say when they're saying that.
Are you saying that pseudoscience can't be funded? Are you saying pseudoscience can't be funded by grants?
It's not pseudoscience if it's peer reviewed. And
do you listen to words? Is it possible, logically, practically, metaphysically, for pseudoscience to be funded?
Anything is possible, sure. But that has nothing to do with the statement about my particular field and calling me a pseudoscientist.
Cool. How do you determine something pseudoscience?
Through testable, reproducible predictions, peer-reviewed literature, the scientific method, right? These are the types of things that are used in order to determine what it is we know about reality.
Cool. How would you know if evolution is pseudoscience then? If it didn't go through the scientific method then, by your own words?
It literally makes predictions. We literally use it in the laboratories.
Can bad models make predictions? Can untrue models make predictions?
Can untrue models? What does true mean?
Can an untrue model, that means the model that describes reality, can make accurate predictions, but it's actually not an accurate model. It's not true. Is it possible?
Well, how would you know any model is true? Models are just approximations
of what
it is that we're understanding.
Are you admitting that models definitionally can't be true?
I'm gonna add one more minute to this.
How
Bobby,
useful they are.
I didn't care. I understand you're using the useful.
Their utility is separate from their truthfulness.
Can something be useful? Can something be useful and not true?
I'm unaware of any model that can be categorized as true. And if that is the case, not even your models can be categorized as true.
Real quick,
Thank you.
Bobby, were you
excellent? So the word "true" there is not the correct word to use. The correct word to use.
I don't need anything more.
They are useful for how we understand the world.
Right? Is it true that they're useful, or is that another model?
Well, hold on one second.
It probably is true that they're useful.
Bobby,
does that require a model?
Bobby, did you get the fullness of the answer out there? Jim Bob came in kind of about a minute left, so I just wanted to make sure that I'm trying to be fair here.
Oh, I don't know. What was the question again?
About the definitions, pseudoscience, if you recall.
Oh, yeah, it's fine.
All right.
I think
I
we got
mean,
it in.
yeah, like once we get towards the minute, yeah, I don't mind if you guys jump in because it does create good content when you're going
Sorry.
back and forth over the super chats. I just want to give people enough time to say
Sure.
something themselves before the next person talks.
Yeah. My head's hurting.
I feel you.
I apologize again for being sick.
We're shooting through
I'm
these.
not at the top of my game, you know.
We're shooting through these, but I do take you being sick very personally, Bobby, just so you know.
I'm so sorry. I'm so
right.
sorry.
We got 5 from Orthodox Phronesis. He says, pick up Genesis, Creation, and Early Man by Father Seraphim Rose, a massive tome critiquing evolution from an Orthodox perspective. So, Bobby, I think he's recommending that to you or everybody.
People can enjoy works of fiction. It's great.
I think that's just more of a critique. I don't know if that's fiction or not. But
I have no idea. It sounded like it was a creationist.
No, that's a man who's alive today who wrote.
Is that so if it's a Catholic book, it probably acknowledges evolution. So maybe I have it back.
No, it says from an Orthodox perspective.
Orthodox. But seriously, why would you write it off as fiction? Aren't you a skeptic?
Why would I write it off as fiction?
Yeah, before even knowing what it is. You just literally said it's fiction.
There's no evidence of a 6,000-year-old Earth. There's no evidence of distinctive kinds, right?
How would you, that's actually, hold on. Do you think that you know the age of the Earth?
Yeah.
Is the Earth accumulation of pre-existing matter before it becomes the globular mass that it is?
Sure.
Okay, so how do you determine the birth or the start of the Earth if it's made up of matter that precedes its form?
Well, because matter switches from one form to another, and in general, we're typically dating things based on ratios, meaning that as materials change from one form to another, based on the particular environment that happened in, we calculate out that ratio, and we know that particular event must have occurred, 2 billion years ago or whatever.
Oh, yeah, cool. So based on your system, you know the age of the Earth, and you know how absurd it is to hold an early age of the Earth, a late age of the Earth, I should say. You're saying that you know the birth of the Earth, which is admittedly accumulated by unrelated particular matter. But what makes the Earth the beginning of the Earth is a change of form of matter?
Well, again, we're not dating the literal matter. We're dating the ratio of the changes that occur in particular pockets.
Cool.
So, like, for example, when we look at C14 decaying into C or whatever it is, nitrogen, right? We're looking at the ratio of C12 to C14 in some type of biological material. Right. That is how that's done. No one is saying that those particular atoms are somehow older. How would you date an atom? We don't have any method to do that.
Well, no. Well, the point is, and I'll just wrap it up real quick, is when
atoms, they date ratios.
I understand, but the thing is, a ratio is a conceptual analysis, a mathematical analysis. There's no thing called a ratio in nature, by the way. Second of all, when you say the Earth has a beginning, right? From your view, the Earth is an accumulation of gravitational pull of particulars that already exist that come together and through time form a thing called a sphere over time. But you have a totally arbitrary position on when you start the date, right, of the Earth, because it can start from this big, right? It can start from the fist, right? It can start from the side of the fifth, right?
We're going to move it on here in a second after Bobby's response.
You won't answer any question.
Just like you do with all the definitions, right? You're doing the same thing again, where there is a granularity in the definition. Right?
Totally a cope, man.
All right. We got to move it on. The timer's more for me, guys, just to be honest, but I just don't want each question back and forth go on too long, so we'll get through these. Mr. Jax is up next. Thank you for another super chat for 5. He says, quote, random mutations don't build anything, end quote. Then he quoted again, okay, so what built it, end quote. Random mutations. Bro, science is freaking screwed, dude.
That's an accurate summary of what happened. Random mutations.
I literally said, right, not only do we witness it in the laboratory, right? Not only do we cause it. What do you mean?
Where did you witness random mutation building something useful?
We literally did that with bacteria. We had the long chain of bacteria where we eventually had a strand that was able to eat citron, right?
No.
That
Sorry,
was a
sorry.
completely new,
No. Hold on.
completely
No.
new ability.
This
Didn't
is totally
exist before.
no.
Right?
How do you determine a bacteria being fed something, an external stimuli, didn't already have it in its system to be able to adapt to consume it? How do you determine that?
For the last several decades, none of the bacteria had eaten or could eat citron.
Oh my
They
gosh,
then
dude. You
went
don't
through-
listen. You
They
don't
then
listen.
went through the DNA of each generation, right? And they looked and analyzed where the mutations occurred. They were able to categorize, here's where these particular mutations happened, and they were meaningless.
How do you
They
know-
didn't do
response,
anything.
Jim-Bob. We gotta
And then
keep going.
eventually,
Oh my gosh,
a
you don't answer the
mutation
question.
occurred where there was a new functionality achieved.
You literally
That
don't
new
answer the question.
functionality was the ability to eat citron, and that bacteria took over the entire dish because it could eat twice
You
as
literally,
much food.
you literally
10 times
didn't
more
answer the
food.
question. You just said in a different form.
You
just wrote
said
it-
we had
All right,
no
all right,
evidence.
It's my
of
response.
Hold on.
random
Let him respond
so we can
mutations
move on,
giving
Bobby.
you
It's my response.
features.
All right,
It's my
Bobby,
response.
Let him respond so we can move on.
I asked you, how do you determine from a methodology whether or not the bacteria already had it encoded to respond to the stimuli and be able to adapt to be able to eat it versus if it was the mutation that did it? You said, I found the mutation. I didn't ask if you found a mutation. I asked you, how did you determine a random mutation is at the cause of that ability?
Because that's what we observed.
Okay, that's what we observed. We're gonna observe the next super chat here. Left Hand Assassin for 5 says, in a determinative universe, there is no true randomness. You agree with that, Bobby?
I don't know. I mean, maybe there is no true randomness. That isn't really relevant to the way the word random is used when we're talking in scientific literature, as I pointed out to Jim Bob like 10 times.
Is it random? Would you say it's a random incidental effect that our brains are capable of reasoning?
Which word of random are you using?
The one that I granted you, like the process that produced a brain, would you agree that it's merely incidental that the brain is capable of thinking, but it's advantageous, but it's incidental that it became capable of thinking? It's incidental.
I'm not sure why you would say incidental. There appeared to have been a huge evolutionary advantage to having a thinking brain, right?
No, dude, unbelievable. I didn't ask if there's an advantage once you have a brain. I'm asking the process of building the advantageous thing called a brain. Is that incidental?
That is the process. If it's an advantage, it sticks around in the species.
How can it be an advantage if it's not fully functional?
Did you think that things didn't have brains and then they magically got brains?
From your view, yes, that's what you're arguing.
No, that isn't what happened.
The eternal brain always existed then.
What? No.
Did a brain always exist?
Things built up over time. I know.
What? But what are you talking about? Things built up. What is this?
What
is this? A kid story? The brain built up over time.
Model, right?
Dude, listen to what you're saying, Bobby.
We do not see any
unbelievable
missing stuff in the taxonomy of the animal kingdom today. We see things with
irrelevant
big brains, small brains, tiny brains,
irrelevant,
very, very incredibly.
That's irrelevant, bro.
We literally have things that are so small that don't have any type of
irrelevant
thinking at all. We don't even categorize them as living, like viruses.
That's
right?
irrelevant,
Bobby. So the point is
that wasn't okay. You got one more point.
You have to actually say that random mutation produced a process called the brain, right? That produced the thing called the brain. I know you just say it did. That's literally your position. It just happened. But the thing is, when I ask you, it has to build it first before it becomes an advantage, right? And you go, what do you mean? It is an advantage because it builds it.
We didn't demonstrate a brain, but we demonstrated it with eating citron. Do you agree that eating citron was a new feature of the bacteria?
Is eating citron is a brain?
We can end it on that
Building
question and move on here.
Unbelievable.
No,
we got more to get to.
The point is that you're pretending that new features are not able to be acquired when we literally can demonstrate that.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I didn't say that, Bobby.
Where is the breakdown in your position?
I'll tell you, Bobby. I'll tell you right now.
These features are no longer able to be accessed.
I literally told you. I didn't say it's not possible. I said it's your position that you have to explain how random mutation builds a functioning brain that can reason. You know your example? Bacteria is capable of reacting to some type of stimuli so it can digest it. Therefore, a brain can be built.
All right. Okay. We're moving on here. Leningrad since 10. He says, Axio, you literally went from saying random mutation produces features to saying random mutations don't do anything, and that something else makes the features. So,
some.
Jim Bob, you
Not
can
all.
unmute at around a minute. Go ahead, Bobby.
Sorry, some, not all. Some. I don't know why there's this constant conflating of like something could happen, or sometimes this thing, or we have examples of a thing, right? And then that's immediately turned into, are you saying all possible? Like, no, that isn't how that works. That's not what the word some or sometimes means, right?
If you end early, he can jump in sooner. Just want to point that out.
Sure, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's still back to the same claim. The mechanism is random mutation. Before natural selection takes its approach on what's built, you didn't even get out of the factory part of the building. You didn't get into the quality control called natural selection. Still to this day, not a single proponent of evolution that I debate can explain to me how random mutation builds actual things that are hyper specific and functional.
Do it in the lab.
No, listen to me.
The lab.
No, you didn't do it in a lab. You literally I'll tell you what you did in a lab.
Random new mutation.
It's my turn to talk. What you didn't develop it. You didn't develop a random mutation. What you did is you put bacteria in a lab, right? And what you did is you introduced an external stimuli to it, and you watched it. It react and adapt to the external stimuli. Similar to this, axiomatic. If I put a baby cow,
God. It's just like evolution.
No, that's not the same, dude.
Yes, it is.
Tell you the distinction, dude. If I put a cow in a freezer and it responds by making thicker hair in response to the external stimuli called coldness, does it follow that the cow itself will fundamentally change over time into something it's not?
The cow is not a species, and taking a single organism is not.
The cow is not a species.
It's not akin.
The cow is not a species.
A single cow is not the species of cow.
Is a cow a species?
No, a single cow.
That's
is not
a species.
A whole species.
What's a cow? What's a cow?
What do you mean? It's got 4 legs.
Bovine?
When you put a cow, any cow.
You know what a cow is?
When you put any cow in a freezer, will it likely produce thicker hair in response to?
Is that what evolution says happens? Is that
that's what you're saying?
No, I'm not.
Is a bacteria is one bacteria the species of bacteria? Nice work, dude.
All right, we got another $10 here from.
You are stating that if you
know what epigenetics is?
A particular member of a species and you're putting it in a refrigerator and you're pretending that it will develop new features. That isn't what happens. You take a whole species.
How do you take the whole species of something?
Like bacteria.
How do you take the whole species of bacteria, dude?
What do you mean?
How do you capture the whole?
All right, guys, we got to move on.
No, hold on.
It's going to come back.
No, wait. How do you capture the entire species of bacteria in a lab, dude?
What do you mean?
You just said you capture bacteria. These
30 more seconds on this one.
In a lab.
Yes, they did that. They had
all
bacteria.
All bacteria was in the lab. Unbelievable.
Yes, bacteria mutated.
All bacteria.
No one said all. Why do you
just
keep
said the
doing
species? That's all.
Like, is this your entire shtick? Is you just pretend that people go between there exists and all 24/7? Like,
when you say seriously, the entire species was in the lab.
All right. Sorry, guys. I got to move on. Sorry, Bobby, I muted you. PS2 Chirper, what's up, man? Thank you for being in the chat, dropping some memberships, hopefully. Okay, we got next one up here. We got a question from R. Borg for 30 shekels. We got for axiomatic. Can you give me an argument for evolution without failing the Gettier problem, using a tautology post hoc and violating the law of identity? All right, I'm gonna start 2 minutes here. Jim Bob, let's go with that. Once the first minute's up, you can hop in.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it is the person is asking exactly, but in general, with any large model, typically there's going to be evidence for the particular parts of that model. So when you have a large theory like the evolutionary theory, there's typically hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands of individual parts that have been verified through different types of experiments over an incredibly long time. Like I said, we literally have an entire, collection of scientists that have looked at only mitochondrial DNA in human beings alone, right? And that particular analysis has led to the fact that all of us have our mitochondrial DNA from a single African woman about 145,000 years ago. This exact same thing happens across the entire animal kingdom, from how eyes develop to where particular types of bones came from or what they're used for, to why we have nerves that travel around in particularly weird ways or whatnot. Literally, even on a cellular level, our cells sometimes, or most of the time, behave and do things in a completely dumbass fashion. They literally like move a bunch of material from one location to another, and then they move it back, and then they move it back again, and then they move it back again, and then they finally do something, right? And the point is that everything from the literal DNA to the mechanics to what's to the taxonomy, everything is suggestive of common descent and the fact that everything is related to each other. A simple example is we all have the same chirality. Why the fuck do we all have the same chirality? That makes no sense. It's a completely arbitrary choice. All the chemistry behaves exactly the same with the other chirality.
All right, that was 2 minutes. If Jim Bob, you want to say anything
Sure.
uninterrupted for a minute or ask him questions, I'll put another minute on the clock. Go ahead.
Cool. Yeah, no, this whole story it literally demonstrated the guy's question, which is post hoc rationalization storytelling. He just said the first human was a black woman. Did you know that a black woman, definitionally, based on essential properties, needs to come from a man and a woman? Is there any event in history, axiomatic reasoning, where you can actually argue that a human being who's a black woman comes from something that's not a woman, and a black man, in this case, maybe mixed, I don't know, but comes from a uninterrupted, dude.
I'm sorry. It's just when no one said
shut
that
up!
she was the only woman.
Shut up!
He wasn't the only woman.
Great. That all that does is kick the can down the road, right? Because you're now saying, oh, 145,000 years, there's the first black woman. Praise her. Let's give her reparation.
The first one.
Stop interrupting!
He let you talk for 2 minutes on that one.
Shut the fuck up!
I'm sorry. It's just I didn't say it was the first black woman.
Shut the fuck up.
All right. I'll give you I
want my time back.
Yeah, I'll give you 20 more seconds, and then he's muted. And then
That doesn't tell us anything, because what's in question is the evolutionary process that says a human being as a category is produced from something that's not a human being. So him going back in time and taking this approach that we come back to one woman and one woman alone. And it's like, okay, they're a part of a population. So all you're doing is kicking the can down the road, right? What's before that? What's before that? Eventually you have to get to this absurd position, right? That women or man or human beings in general are produced. They're products, they're byproducts of something that's essentially not human. That's the argument against evolution.
All right.
Right? That's the whole bit right there, dude.
Let's go on to the next one here. Bobby, you can unmute. Just try not to respond to that right at this moment if you could. All right, so we got up next Patrick Law for 20. Thank you, Patrick. Appreciate you. Hope if you're a lawyer, that's going well. Abiogenesis must explain how chemistry gained persistent genetic information, preserved it through noisy replication, linked sequence to function, and ultimately evolved the cross-alphabet code that maps nucleotides to proteins. So that all makes sense to you, Bobby, as just... I guess he's implying it's kind of impossible.
Sure.
That's what I took from that.
But so we, again, demonstrate different parts of the entire model, right? Different parts of it get demonstrated. We literally do this in the computer. As was pointed out to Jim Bob several times, we make neural networks. We start them in random states. We give them particular, environmental pressures. And lo and behold, they converge to particular functionality. We can literally, cause particular functions to emerge if we wanted to. This can be seen in a variety of different ways. I literally, teach people about like how convolutional, neural networks work and whatnot. and go over the difference between like, you know, a convolutional neural network that we develop like mathematically and then apply it, right? Versus one that is converged to through some type of stochastic gradient descent and the difference between those. And one is quite literally a randomized function that has been converged to having some type of usefulness with respect to the environment it's in, and it doesn't really have a particular name. Whereas the ones we engineer, like in Photoshop and whatnot, we give those names. We call them blurring or line, you know, edge detection or whatever. You know, it's the point is it's just silly. Like we're very much aware that you can start things in random states and converge to functionality. This happens all the time. We have more than just neural networks. I could do it with like a Markov model. Like it's the same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Pretty
I
solid
would
minute
say
there.
cool. I would say that no, even the statement we can start things in random states is already an engineered intentional position. So whatever you're calling random, you're just using the random. I just want to make sure, colloquially speaking, random just means you're coding something to execute commands that produce ostensibly events that you maybe your mind can't comprehend the production of, even though you're literally executed the commands through coding to do so. Further, you can't look at models in a computer and say that they're in any way, shape, or form identical one-to-one to what biology is, right? You don't, it's a completely different system. Computing and modeling and simulation, it might reflect some referent in the world. The fact that we can do biomimicry to do engineering, right? We engineer around something an evolution proponent would say is not engineering. That doesn't even make sense. We simulate things using our mind, simulate coherent, practical things, right? And we model things that from the evolutionary paradigm, we hold the evolution proponent holds is completely randomly produced incidentally. That the workability. He also said we code the environment, right? The natural selection process. No, that's not natural selection. That's literally Minecraft, dude. Natural selection. We didn't even get to natural selection. Natural selection is itself, by your own metric, full of randomness, right?
It's since that was a 20, Bobby, if you want to take a minute and respond to some of that, you're welcome to.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
Maybe take the natural selection bait.
The natural selection bait. Oh, I don't know. Jim Bob's just conflating ideas or whatnot. I mean,
which
this
ideas?
Is kind of silly.
Which ideas, dude? Don't be so cryptic and vague, man. Help me out.
It's clear you don't know what we mean by random, right? Do you know what a random distribution is?
Yeah, that's a colloquial sense. That's a basically a term you use for something that you actually formulate mathematically or in a modeling system. You actually produce all the numbers. Of a what? Of a what?
Random distribution.
A random distribution model. I don't know. You'd come up with like a 15,000 names and code it 15,000.
What's the most common one?
What are you talking about? You asked me a question and you're interrupting me.
Yeah, I'm just asking you.
I didn't ask. I didn't say anything.
Distribution model.
I don't know. Tell me tell me how it applies to evolution.
Normal distribution curve doesn't ring a bell.
Go ahead. Okay, well, tell me how it applies to evolution. It doesn't.
We don't have time for a pop quiz right now, guys. We got more super chats to get.
It doesn't apply, dude. It doesn't apply at all.
Richie
literally
Torres,
mathematics.
Richie Torres
says the guy who's literally critiquing what random means.
Random distribution model.
Sorry, no, I got to move it on. Richie Torres MMA for 5 says, AR, why are you dismissing the fact that science is an enterprise and that most scientists have a presupposition of uniformitarianism? This is a 5, so let's give you only a minute to respond, and then Jim Bob can jump through towards the end of that minute. Go ahead, Bobby.
Oh, what's Unitarianism?
Uniformitarianism. So I'm going to pause it while they have a vested interest in being uniform as a group of scientists or industry enterprise.
Why? So most scientists become incredibly famous by going against the status quo, right? And coming up with some grand new theory that explains things that people didn't understand. So it seems weird to say that like everyone's trying to like be on the same page. I'm a scientist. I never got the memo. Like, I'd love it if people sent me the memo to let me know to like join the blood cult or whatever, because like I didn't get it. So like I feel like I'm left in the dark here.
Still muted, Jim Bob. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, the question was about uniformitarianism, which is like the principle assuming that the regularity of nature goes all the way back equally, uniformly.
I took that more as the context of the science as an enterprise. My bad. If I'm
science as an enterprise actually has a philosophical presupposition of uniformity of nature and the regularity of nature that goes back. But what we're saying, the questioner was basically positing why would, based on his philosophy, why would he assume that to be the case? Further, what he mentioned, I forget what you said, Bobby. There, you said something about people lying or something about that. Like, what did you say? You said
blood cult.
The cult.
I didn't get the memo to
you didn't get the
to make all of my scientific inquiries and publications in line with the
you said you're a scientist,
grand conspiracy to lie to people about the theory of evolution.
Well, no, it doesn't. People don't have to lie to be wrong. It's totally possible, and it's definitely in the scientific history where we thought things chemically maybe applied that didn't and caused harm, and later learned that it actually caused harm, and we didn't know at the time. And so we figure things out over time. That's so the scientific community can be very wrong about things without lying. But you said you're a
individual level, sure, but like
no, at a collective level, you could be wrong.
10,000
I thought it was my turn. I literally thought it was my turn to talk. I actually thought that.
Yeah,
I guess
I stopped the timer, so if you want to.
Okay. Axiomatic reason. You said you're a scientist. You said you're a scientist.
You asked me questions.
You declared yourself a scientist. Can you tell me the first? Can you tell me the first step in the scientific method?
Formulating a hypothesis.
Nope. So you're not a scientist. Okay. That's all.
All right. Okay. Well,
I'm not a scientist. I'm sorry. Where have you published?
How could you be a scientist if you got the first step of the scientific method wrong?
Oh my gosh, you haven't published shit. Okay, I got
That's irrelevant. I could publish a paper on Nazism and how it applies to science. You don't even know the first step of the scientific method. You're humiliated
random distribution? Can you name the random distribution?
It doesn't matter. It's a mathematical distinction. It's irrelevant to biology.
Because you don't know.
Okay. It's irrelevant to biology.
Know what random means.
It's irrelevant to biology. You're embarrassed.
All right. I just educated myself there. Thank you, Jim Bob. Doctrine of uniformity, or the uniformitarian principle, is the assumption that some natural laws and processes that operate in our present day scientific observation operate or have always operated in the universe in the past and apply everywhere in the universe. So it refers to invariance in the metaphysical principles underpinning science. So that is something that I explained there, thinking that the context was the enterprise of science being the main part, but appreciate the little learn there. And I just also wanted to show that I wanted to correct myself on stream, not double down. All right. Next one here is from Mr. Jax again, another 5. Thank you for the 3rd or 4th super chat. Considering string theory is peer-reviewed AR and called pseudoscience by most theoretical physicists, literally incoherent, bro.
Well, string theory is a very complicated model, right? That is attempting to try to unify general relativity and quantum mechanics. It has trouble coming up with experiments where we may be able to verify it. There are many, many models of string theory, and many of them have been, demonstrated to not be correct. So the idea of like exploring string theory and then coming up with experiments and then hypothesizing about those and then publishing papers on how well those comport with other models or don't comport with other models, this is all part of the scientific process, right? And so, yes, we are not all currently taught the string theory model as a known mechanism for how the universe works, right? But the idea that like string theory is not part of the scientific inquiry, that's just silly, right? Like that's what we mean by scientific query. We're trying to learn about the real world, right?
Okay, I'll reset the minute there. You want to say something? Go for it, Jim Bob.
Yeah, it's just pure theoretics. It's like that's the distinction. That's what I argued this entire time, is that you need a strict criterion for what constitutes pseudoscience and what constitutes not pseudoscience. And I would argue that's an experiment. In fact, Bobby just admitted it in his response. He said, we don't have the experiments for it. Well, lo and behold, as I argued from my opener, that the arbiter for two competing hypotheses in proper science is an experiment. If you can't experiment, you can't verify, you can't null it, you can't do anything. You can't manipulate anything. It's all in your head. So string theory and all of these math on paper has nothing to do with physics. It's gone so far that people are now arguing that the singularity is a physics distinction as opposed to a mathematical distinction. Bobby here is the epitome. He is the poster boy of collapsing math and science. He really is. The idea that anything descriptively mathematically has some validity scientifically is absurd. You can mathematically describe something that literally doesn't exist. It doesn't follow that it's valid because it's mathematically coherent or consistent, absent, let's say, Kurt Gödel's incompleteness theorem. So the thing is that's like he really does represent the entirety of the collapse that we've seen in the last 100 years, where people are substituting experiment with simulation, substituting experiment with modeling. He really is the poster boy of modeling. And guess what? It's pseudoscience.
All right, Bobby, I'll give you 25 seconds to respond. We're going to move on to the next one from Qtard.
What's Gödel's incompleteness theorem?
Okay, I don't know if that's relevant to what we were talking about exactly right now, so we're going to move on.
Oh, he brought up Gödel's incompleteness
Kurt
theorem.
Gödel, there's two theorems.
Oh, Gödel, I thought you were saying something different.
In essentially that mathematical theorems themselves, logical systems, are not complete within themselves and appeal to at least two or more other things that you can't verify within the system.
So that's not correct, right? It's only true of arithmetic systems. And the first
So it's partially true.
It's aggravated murder, Jimbo.
So
It's
there
aggravated.
there are plenty of complete and consistent logical systems that have been developed. Propositional logic, geometry, what is it? Commutable algebra, right? Those are all one of those is a first order logic system. So
That's
only
great.
first order logic arithmetic systems must be incomplete if they are consistent. Now, we don't know if they're consistent. They could be inconsistent. So it could be the case that there's a proof that 2 + 2 equals or doesn't equal 4 from the axioms of arithmetic.
All right,
that
so
could be the case. We
Bobby,
don't know.
Qtard says for 5, Bobby, so if I make a sandwich with expired ingredients, the sandwich is perfectly fine to eat because its form changed when it became a sandwich.
With expired ingredients? No, I'm not sure why that would even be related or have anything to do with what was being discussed.
Okay. All right. Qtard, sorry, that didn't go the way you planned. All right. Next is Richie Torres MMA again for 5. AR, what is a cow? How does evolution account for identity? I told you we'd get back to this.
Yeah.
What is a cow? I mean, a cow's a farm animal, domesticated, has 4 legs, gives milk. We also eat the meat, right? That's what a cow is.
You want to jump
They
in there,
want
Jim
more.
Bob?
Yeah. Under the evolutionary view, a cow is actually not an objective thing as a category. There's only particulars under evolution. And there's nothing from the evolutionary view that binds something called a cow to some essential property. The reason is that the essential property that you're pointing to that makes a cow, and all things that are not a cow, are things that could change, which makes them not essential anymore. It makes them accidental.
Okay. Next up, we got a quick shout out to PS2 Chirpers. He did drop a membership on you guys in there, so hopefully whoever got that's happy. And we do have memberships on the channel if you wanted to watch the debates that are coming up in DebateCon 9. You can do that from the final word level. Just want to do that plug real quick because we got a 10 from Gravios up next, and he said, damn, dude, we can wipe out all sorts of infections with this new method of capturing the entire species of one bacteria. I think that's towards you, Jim Bob?
I'm not sure what he's referring to. I actually don't know if it's referred to me or not.
I don't either.
The point is,
He-
bacteria, insofar as evolution is concerned, when you study bacteria and you introduce things that harm bacteria, or if you introduce things that bacteria responds to, nothing, no introduction of anything is ever going to change the category that it is, which is bacteria. The capabilities that bacteria is capable of reacting to and doing things. The question of what causes that or what's at the source of that is still irrelevant to the grand scheme narrative of evolution, which is to say, with the aggregate of accumulated effects of random mutation, the bacteria will graduate out of bacteria and go into a new category at some point. That's false. So you can study bacteria all you want. Nothing you introduce to bacteria will actually make it graduate and move and jump categories. Why? Why?
Evolution
I'll tell you why.
doesn't say that.
No, I'll tell you why. Because there is something that's essential as a property that makes bacteria bacteria and other things that aren't bacteria not bacteria. Otherwise, we can't study bacteria.
Before
All the
you,
descendants of
Bobby, hold on.
bacteria will be bacteria.
Before you go any further
Thank
with
you.
that, Bobby, there was a comment.
Except for when you violated that.
There was a
Yeah.
comment on that from Tengu VPR. He says scientists use really tiny lassos and wrangle them up by the dozens. It's incredible. You got to see it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds about right.
Let me.
would agree with that.
I just want one more thing here. You just said all the descendants of bacteria will be bacteria, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Isn't it true that there was a thing that wasn't a human that eventually turned that downstream from the evolutionary
What
process
direction
produced
are you going? Right? Are you going
Forward.
backwards or forwards?
no forward?
So you're not, right? Because humans is a word for today, right?
Oh my
humans
gosh,
is
dude.
today, right? So if you go back to, let's say, our common ancestor with chimpanzees, right?
Uh-huh.
Part of the great ape category, we're still a great ape. We never left the category of great ape. We will always be great apes. All
Is
of our
the first the
descendants will be
category?
great
Is the
apes.
first category
We
bacteria?
never left the category
Is the
of great
first
apes.
category bacteria?
I don't know the exact definition of what
Okay,
bacteria
so you're
is,
saying
but
the
let's
so
say
hold
it
on.
was. Let's
Dude,
say it was.
I'm
Then
clarifying
what
a
you're
question,
talking,
bro.
what you're
clarif-
talking about is a distinction of
It doesn't
modern
exist.
bacteria versus ancient bacteria.
Okay, cool.
Let's suppose we all came from ancient bacteria. Then we would all be part of that category of ancient bacteria. That ancient bacteria doesn't look anything like bacteria today.
Right.
It doesn't have anything even remotely the same. Modern
Okay.
bacteria look nothing like ancient bacteria.
Is it still bacteria?
Ancient, yes, modern bacteria would be
Are
also
you
inherited
bacteria?
from ancient bacteria.
Are you bacteria?
I'm related to bacteria.
Are you an ape?
I'm not sure that bacteria is part of our taxonomical line.
Are you an ape?
So why don't we just say amoeba? Why don't you say
let's
an
go.
amoeba?
Let's go more recent. Are you an ape?
I'm a great ape. Yeah. So are
Am
you?
I a great ape?
Yes.
Was George
you're part
Floyd
of
an ape? Was George Floyd an ape?
George Floyd was a great ape. Yes.
Okay, got you.
All of
So,
us-
how
all
did
of
you
us are great
determine
apes.
was an ape a category that actually came downstream from something that wasn't an ape?
Say that again.
Was an ape produced downstream from a category that wasn't an ape categorically?
Again, if you're going in that direction, that's how things get redefined.
You're not answering the freaking question.
apes-
Yes or no?
The apes, right? The category of apes means this particular set of criteria, this
know.
particular set of taxonomy, right?
I know.
If
I'm
you
asking
go
you a
between
question.
apes and dogs have some common ancestor.
You didn't
right?
answer the question.
Apes and horses have some common ancestor, right?
And you didn't answer the
There's
question.
a common ancestor to all mammals,
And
right?
you didn't
might
answer the
call it
question.
A mammalian, right?
You didn't answer the
We're
question.
all from the mammalian group.
You didn't
Okay.
answer the question.
All right, we got to move
Yeah,
on, guys.
So we never
no.
will leave
Hold
being
on
a
a second.
mammal.
He didn't answer the question.
Right?
Did apes, great apes, come from a category that is not great apes? It's a yes or no question.
All right, then we're moving on. Yes or no?
Again, it doesn't go in that direction.
Okay.
Unfreaking believable, man.
Chunka Funka sent 10
What do you
and
mean
said,
unfreaking believable?
It's just amazing.
Chunka Funka sent 10 and he says, question for AR. How did life come from non-life in your worldview? Was matter already here for eternity or did it come into being? The Evo position seems to be an unprovable infinite regress. This is a 10, so
the
2
entire
minutes.
theory of abiogenesis is technically not part of evolution, right? It's a separate category. There are people that specifically study abiogenesis. Now, why is it a separate category?
This
Because
is
the
from
study
your
of
worldview,
abiogenesis.
I just want to remind you.
Well,
Is what the question's asking specifically is from your worldview. How did it come?
I don't know what I don't know what worldview means. I would be happy to reject
I
evolution.
guess your personal belief.
Right? Like that doesn't matter.
Just want to
Yeah, I would be
help the
happy to reject
commenter out
evolution.
there.
I will take any position if there's evidence for it. So that doesn't mean anything, right? So anyway, the point is abiogenesis is the study of non-living things and how they would arise to being something that is living, i.e., a self-replicatory, living object that has some type of information and it takes in the environment and expels the environment in some particular way, right? So the objective is typically to try to produce something like a protocell or the various stages of how a protocell might come about. This is why we've done things like experiments where we create different types of proteins, different types of amino acids, spontaneous cellular shells, various other types of mechanisms. Wet and dry cycling is also done. There are literally thousands of experiments on the road to understanding abiogenesis. And in general, this is studied quite thoroughly. It's technically nothing to do with evolution. Evolution isn't in there. This is all about chemical reactions, right? Autocatalytic reactions and stuff, right?
Cool. So to that response, is there an essential property that distinguishes non-living organic material and organic material? And if you say metabolism, anabolic and catabolic, isn't it true that there is a necessary set of preconditions for metabolism to exist?
So, Jim Bob, I don't know why you keep doing
Please
this,
give me
right?
my freaking question back to me,
Dude,
you yapper!
why do you keep yelling at me when I go to answer?
Because you're an
What the
obfuscating
hell?
fool, bro. Tell me my
Like,
question back to me.
Is this what you do? Is you ask
Tell me my
questions and then
question
scream
back
at
to
people?
me.
No, what is your objective here in just screaming at me, man?
Because I get pissed when people
I
don't
wasn't
actually get my
screaming at
question.
you.
I'm
I
going to
was not
scream at you.
screaming at you.
That's fine. I'm biased. I'm going to scream at you. So
Okay,
tell
well,
me
then
what
that's
my question was.
stupid.
Tell me my
No,
question.
Stop screaming at me.
Tell me
There
my
was
question.
No reason to do that, dude.
Tell me my question.
So again, right?
Tell me my question.
Again, right? The thing that you keep making the mistake of doing is
See,
you
he doesn't
keep
tell me my
talking.
question. Bad faith.
Oh my God, motherfucker!
Yeah, exactly.
What the hell?
Yeah, exactly.
Dude?
Bad faith. You can't
Jesus
repeat my question.
Christ.
I think it's fair.
Holy
I use
shit.
look, moderator.
The guy
I use my
literally
time.
knows nothing.
Moderator.
We might
I
as well
use my
just scream
time.
at each other.
I use my
Holy
time instead of
crap, man.
I use my time instead of saying something. I asked a very pointed question. I simply asked
want
that.
an answer.
See, I simply
You
asked
don't
him.
want an answer. That's what it is.
I wanted you to tell me what my question was.
No, you wanted to scream at me. That's what you wanted to do.
I'm sorry. I
The
screamed
moment
at
I
you.
start talking, you
Bobby,
just scream.
Bobby,
that was your objective.
Bobby, I apologize for screaming.
It is it's clear you're
He
objecting.
apologized.
Bobby, do you forgive me? I screamed
sure.
at you.
Do you want me to answer then?
I want you to.
Okay, you'd
No.
like to answer?
No. I want you to
the
tell me my
answer,
question.
Right? Let me answer then.
No, I want you to tell me my question.
Oh, you don't want the answer. You want to
See,
say,
this is bad
fuck
faith.
off,
Okay,
yeah.
we're gonna move
repeat my
on.
question.
I'm
I
positive.
understand.
I'm positive.
This is so unfair.
You'll have
by the
the
way,
chance to ask that question again.
I asked a question and he didn't give me back what the question was.
I get that, but
You
this
didn't
is
even
about
let
the
me
audience
answer.
questions right now. Just to be fair to them. We got one coming in from Xander Geese Cat for 10. Axiom, what are we as humans evolving into? It's a dumb question, I know. Haha. He said that,
What
not
are we
me.
evolving into? There's no direction in evolution, right? The types of there's no particular direction, right? There will be random mutations, and the random mutations that are useful will that they will go on, they will propagate, and those that aren't, they won't make it, right? In some sense, there's a little bit of difficulty with human beings, especially when we start engineering biological processes and stuff. Because, for example, we might have more and more diseases continue to be within our own species when we have the technology to eradicate those. And so that may continue on in our species, which is not normal for most species, in the evolutionary tree, right? And so it'll be interesting with human beings, right? There's a couple of people in China, I think, that are CRISPR children, right? And I imagine that their genomes will eventually, go throughout the entire population. So technically, within a 1,000 years or so, the entire human population will have synthetic genome in them, right? Well, I don't know.
cool. You said there's no direction of evolution. Would you agree that that thinking, the biological process that's happening in the brain, is included in the evolutionary process?
Yeah, it was incredibly
Okay,
advantageous.
just yes or no, please. I'm trying to consolidate my time here. If there's no direction of evolution and the thinking is a part of evolution, would you agree that it follows that there's no directionality for thinking?
No directionality for thinking. So again, the thing that was advantageous was selected for, right?
I didn't
Because
ask for the story, dude. I didn't ask for the story of how it came to be.
The other things died. They died because they didn't have as much of an advantage.
I didn't ask about that, dude. I asked you a very
easy to understand.
Dude, axiomatic reading.
It's like it's so easy
this is
to
so
understand,
unfair,
right?
I literally said a very pointed question. Let me do it again. Axiomatic reasoning. Evolution has no direction.
You have asked me a billion
You're interrupting
questions.
again.
I asked you one.
You're
and you told
interrupting
me to
again.
screw off and
Mike,
you wouldn't
please,
answer.
please.
Axio,
Please.
if you could just succinctly answer,
I'll ask it again.
and then if we could keep the questions more to a minimum in the audience Q&A, that'd be
Premise 1, evolution has no directionality. Premise 2, thinking is included in evolution, the process. Conclusion, there's no directionality toward thinking.
False, right? So you're using the words on different categories. There's a difference between talking about the fact that random mutations don't have a directionality to them versus the species as a whole under natural selection and, evolutionary mechanisms, right? Selecting for things that are useful towards propagating the species. You're trying to conflate those two together and use the exact same terminology in both cases. It's silly. Like, I don't, just stop it, man. Just stop it.
You literally didn't actually refute any of the premises.
I'm gonna just.
All right, we're gonna move on here. Kyvan Roos, I did not miss your comment, just haven't got to it yet. I learned how to say your name. Ukrainian, I got it. Okay, so we left off on Chunkafunka, I believe. Workademics sent 2. He says, lion breed with tiger, a horse and a mule. Why lose? Okay. Mr. Jack 79 for 2 says, quote, we see that today because we see that happen. Bro.
Exactly.
He followed that up with
great
a 5.
epistemology.
We see it happen.
Yeah, great epistemology.
I know.
Wait, real quick, Bobby.
It's almost
how
like
do you know what
you're
summarizing what you're seeing is happening? We see it happen.
They had no idea that light traveled at a finite speed before.
You don't know the speed of light?
No idea.
You don't know the speed of light? You don't know the speed of light?
It's like 300,000 kilometers a second.
Is that one way or two way?
There's no such thing. That was a tongue-in-cheek joke by Einstein.
Wait,
you don't know that.
Drew,
Here, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this.
Let him ask a question since you've asked him a ton during the audience Q&A.
Maxwell's equations, right? Do they suggest that the speed of light is the same no matter what direction you're traveling or what speed you're traveling at? You always measure the same.
The assumption is that it's the same round trip. The assumption
because of Maxwell's not round trip. Because of Maxwell's equations, the speed of light
equations
is the same
are in physics.
For all observers.
Cool.
No matter
equations
what
are in physics. That's great.
That's great.
Equations are in physics.
That the
That's amazing. Equations are in physics.
You're literally supposing that there's a gradient time bubble around the solar system, right? In which, by the way,
are equations physics?
Almost literally a singularity where it's like an extreme stretch all the way out to the edge of the universe. Right?
Are equations physics?
So those are obviously dumbass ideas.
Cool.
Right?
Are
because
equations
we
physics?
imagine that there's a uniformity to the way physics works. Plus, we've sent shit out there, and
so the answer is yes.
Into the time bubble, right?
Wow. So the answer is yes. So the answer is yes.
Again, right? Maxwell's equations demonstrate.
No, equations don't demonstrate.
The equations
don't demonstrate.
Light is the same for every observer, no matter where they are, or what velocity.
Is light a physics? Look. Is light a physics?
That is what
I let you talk, dude.
The conclusions are.
I let you talk. Is light a physical phenomenon?
Sorry, were we going to get back to evolution with that question, Bobby? Just wanted to.
No.
Well, the thing is, if evolution,
he doesn't know Maxwell's equations.
No, dude,
he doesn't.
Look,
the one-way speed of light.
I just let you talk, dude.
A joke.
I literally let you talk.
All right, sorry. Don't take it personally when I had to hit that mute buttons for the audience.
Literally unfair.
I'm sorry, Jim Bob. We just got to hit through these questions.
Unfucking believable, man.
It's okay. I look.
Bobby?
I literally
read
was
up
about
on
to correct
Maxwell's
you, right?
equations.
And the mod saved you. I
No,
literally
I'm not
was
trying
about
to
to
save
correct you.
anybody here. I
Go
just
read
trying
up
to
on
save the
Maxwell.
audience. That's all.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Pix Paradox since 10, he says, MDD Mike, thank you. Appreciate you. Alchemist for 10 says, the only winner tonight was the Pacacetus. Good for him. Through the power of almighty evolution in 50 trillion years, he was able to lose his legs and grow flippers. Jim Bob running from Pacacetus.
There we go.
Ooh, rebuttal?
Flippers.
That's right. Now, well, I mean, let's look at the storyline. 53 million years, a land animal that's totally adapted to the land, defending itself, hunting, and doing all that stuff, or whatever it does, right? Finding food, foraging. The claim is that in 53 million years, it actually produces through some mechanisms of mutation, it produces a completely categorical distinction between itself and what is a whale. And it reorganizes a body plan with specific things that do things like body temperature, like depth awareness of the ocean, and so forth. Hunting, sex, the rest, right? To be able to actually incubate underwater and give birth. All of these things are included in this transformation in 53 million years. Meanwhile, when we study basic things like, I don't know, 2 regulatory genes changing inside of a fly that require 1 million years for a change, and the fly doesn't change its nature of what it is. It's just 2 genes that change. But in 53 million years, an entire category of an animal shifts and shapeshifts, right? This is Hinduism applied to naturalism. That's all it is. Evolution is Hinduism and naturalism put in a Vitamix. And these people slurp it up, dude. They get it all on their red beard. And they don't even care. They're like, I don't know, it just happened. That just happened. A wolf land whale turned into a whale.
You literally suck off the teat of scientists. You're there with your micro-printed clothing, your cell phone, your signal processing, your error correction codes, using your pocket computer. Like, you
what does that have to do with that whale?
Nothing.
What does that have to do with
All you do is use the technology of
What does that have to
scientists.
do? What is
Like,
technology?
Jesus, dude.
What does technology in a
Slurping.
cell phone have to do with a land animal turning into a whale?
Give up everything invented by a scientist.
That's a category
I challenge you.
distinction.
Yeah,
That's an engineer.
because you're an idiot. You know
You
that
don't
would
need.
be
Do
impossible.
you wait? I'm sorry. Do you need to hold that a land wolf turned into a whale in order to make a cell phone?
These people collaborate.
It's a yes
together.
or no question. You sophist
These
pig.
people collaborate together. They collaborate
Is it required?
together.
I asked you a question,
Oh
sophist.
man, that apology of yelling. Wow,
Is it-
Jesus.
is
yeah,
it
that
required-
was clearly bullshit.
Listen, do I need any
Clearly
crayon?
fake.
Is it
Yeah.
Is it necessary to believe a land animal turned into a whale for you to make a cell phone?
So these people collaborate.
It's a
together.
yes or no question, you sophist pig.
There he goes yelling again. Oh my
All right,
god.
Gravios
can't
for
handle
20
yourself,
says,
man.
axiomatic reasoning. How would you have felt if you hadn't eaten breakfast this morning?
How would I have felt? I don't know. Probably hungry.
All right.
Why would you ask though?
It's just a typical
It
question.
seems dumb.
Typical question. Cool GTDB for 5 says, you guys should do a twerk off to end this debate. Most joules generated in 30 seconds wins.
Twerk. I don't know what twerking is.
None of you
What
want to
is a
see
twerk?
that.
Who has
None
the,
of you want to see that.
the tools to measure that? Leningrad for 20 says, AR is the practice of science defined by the method that is applied, i.e. the scientific method, or by the group of people who say they're scientists and do peer review?
Wow. Good question.
In general, we have knowledge about how the world works, and we want to categorize that. And our objective is to be as accurate as we can be.
Doesn't
We
answer
do
the
this by
question.
tabulating information. We do it by doing peer-reviewed research. We do it by having schooling so that people can learn what other people have learned from in the past, right? In general, there isn't going to be a perfect definition for every single thing that you want to talk about. There isn't
Didn't
going to
answer
be
the question.
perfect definition of the scientific method, right? So the point is that different fields are going to approach things a little bit differently. In medicine, a single example could be sufficient to understand how a particular phenomenon happens, right? In other
Right.
categories like physics, you expect things to be at like 10 sigmas before you declare that you know what a particular measurement is. Like when we're measuring something about an electron or something, we're like, yo, I want 6 or 10 sigmas, right? If
Right.
you're in biology, you're probably going to allow a little bit more less certainty. You'll be like, well, it's, 99% certain that this particular mechanism works this particular way. I know Jim Bob doesn't have any idea how these probabilities are calculated. He doesn't have any idea, like, what a
Actually,
confidence
that's a good
interval
point.
is or whatnot,
That's actually
right?
no, that's actually a good point.
Yeah.
Axiomatic reasoning. Can you tell me what's necessary to determine probability? What you have to have access to?
Measure theory.
Do you have to have access to favorable outcomes and unfavorable outcomes?
What? Measure theory doesn't have anything to do with probability. The
Okay,
word
so,
probability,
bro,
the word probability is
you're a
invented by
sophist.
us.
You're a
The
sophist.
the word probability is invented by us to describe how we understand these particular mechanisms.
How do
In
you
reality,
what?
we model it with measure
I literally
theory.
asked you the question of what's necessary to determine probability.
And I said measure theory.
And what is that? What's the necessary preconditions for measure theory? What do you have to have access to?
It's a math topic. We made it up. I don't know.
So we made it up. Cool. Can you tell me what the question was to you from the super chatter?
You said, what is the necessary thing?
No. Can you tell me what the question was? Listen to my words. Can you tell me what the question from the super chatter was?
Oh, I don't know. He'd have to repeat it.
You don't
I'm
fucking
sorry,
know.
Mike.
You don't know. You're not listening. You're a waste of time.
Well, since he did,
You're
pay
literally a
20,
waste
I'm
of
a
time.
waste of time.
Since he paid 20, I'm gonna repeat it, but I am.
You're
gonna move
literally a
on.
waste of time.
He was asking Bobby, is the practice of science defined by the method, or is it defined by
the
the
people
group
who
of
agree.
people who say they're scientists and do peer
Yeah, I
review?
gave a clear answer to that.
You did
I thought
not.
it was clear. Yes,
Not
I
even
did.
close,
It was
bro.
very clear.
No,
Yes,
I'll tell you the distinction right here.
The
I'll
point.
tell you.
The point. No, this is the thing that you keep
He's
doing.
gonna
is
do
you
more
try to
sophistry.
you keep trying to take
Yeah.
these definitions and act like they're perfect words.
We're not talking about definitions. We're talking about arbitration,
Yes.
you fool.
Yes, you are. You're using the word method and whatever
No,
the other one was, and you're
arbitration,
trying to
dude.
say, is it this one or is it that one?
Can I answer to
right?
the question? Can
That
I
is
answer the
not
super
that is
chatter,
not
please?
accurate.
I'm gonna
right?
put it.
Let me answer the super
a
chatter.
solid minute here, and then we'll go on
Okay.
to the next one.
The super chatter is asking the arbiter for competing hypothesis in science. Is it a method that's strict, absent agreement of a group of people, or is it a group of people who claim they're scientists? The answer is the former. The only arbiter for competing hypothesis in science is the method itself. You didn't give an answer. You said, well, it's really blurry, and sometimes it's blurry, and sometimes you use it, and sometimes you don't. No, the clear answer is an aggregate of people who call themselves scientists who claim something's true or claim something's a scientific theory. They are not they don't get to declare something's actually a theory absent an arbitrator. And the arbitrator is the method itself, not the group of people. Simple answer.
All right, let's move
Amazing.
on. Let's move on.
Oh my god.
Standing for Truth Ministries. Oh, hey, is that Donnie? He says.
Oh, thanks for watching, Donnie.
Yo, Donnie.
He says, for Dr. Bobby, what is your quantifiable model accounting for the massive differences between human and chimp Y chromosomes? Less than 30% the same.
Again, as I did the debate with you, Donnie, repeatedly over and over again, I tried to show you what it would be to do a kinds model, right? And I think maybe this was missed past you or whatnot, and I apologize that maybe I didn't make it clear enough, right? The fact that there exists a metric that allows you to give larger distinctions between chimpanzees and humans is irrelevant to whether or not your kinds model is able to work out. The issue is that there exists metrics in which those two things are basically can be made nearly the same, right? The existence of metrics that puts them close together shouldn't exist. That isn't how data works. Like I can't just have random data that came from random starting places that are separated by random dimensional difference, and then somehow magically those end up with metrics that are able to make them highly distinguished to each other as though they have a common ancestor. So you could come up with whatever metric you want. I'm just pointing out that the existence of metrics that make them similar is a detriment to you. Why do those even exist? They shouldn't exist under your kinds model.
All right. I'm going to read some of these $2 ones till Jim Bob gets back, since they don't really have a lot of questions. Mr. Jack 79 for 2. Thanks for all the super chats, Mr. Jacks. He said, Christians invented computers, not you, sophist. All right, let's see. I think we got maybe a couple more here.
Oh, can I say one?
Yeah, you
I
go,
just
yeah,
wanted to
go
say
for it.
something.
Well, this one's relevant. This one's relevant, real quick, and then you can respond to both.
Oh,
Christopher
okay.
Scott for 5 says, "AR, do you know what sophistry is?" So that's a 1-2 right there.
Sophistry.
Yeah. First
I
guy
have no
called you
idea.
a sophist, and the second guy asked you, "Do you know what it is?"
Yeah, I have no idea.
Okay.
I'm not a philosophy person. Is it a philosophy thing? I don't know. Anyway, I wanted to point out to Donnie, I did do a review of your Parsons paper. If you want to go watch that on YouTube, it's very good. I go through the Mito tree and all of that. And in particular, I go through the thing that is done in the paper that you seem to completely ignore, which is where they separate the data sets and demonstrate the incredible high variance that's around the particular calculation. I even went ahead and separated the data sets in 2 other directions and demonstrated that it even has a wider, uncertainty to it. The point is that there's an incredible high variability with that particular calculation, and the Mito tree even confirms this. If you go look at the Mito tree and you look at the, calculations that they've done, right? Anyway, I highly recommend that. I'd take a look.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to add one thing real quick. Is that I put this in my opener. When you try to make the claim that chimps and humans have some commonality and maybe they have a common ancestor, and you keep going back, you're going off of similarity, and Donnie brought up differences. Now, if Donnie continues his inquiry back in time, the argument that you think is strong in the here now for similarity eventually has to turn into dissimilarity. Do you understand? Like, so if you go back far enough in time, Bobby, you have to actually argue that something that's entirely dissimilar is also the ancestor of humans. So this brings up a big question of methodology, of how you utilize similarity arbitrarily in the here now to distinguish connectivity and similarity and ancestry. But then if you go back far enough, you actually eventually have to argue dissimilarity is also a symptom of ancestry. How do you have both?
Again, no, that is not how the words are used. They are fuzzy on the edges of their definitions. This is why asking a question like, when was the first human, would be impossible to state. We don't have an exact time of when the first human was. We just have like an approximate range of where we say these are who we'll call humans and these are no longer humans or whatever, right? But you pretending as though there's like some guaranteed perfect criteria is not correct. Evolution doesn't say that. We are simply coming up with words that are approximatory. That's all we're doing. And again, you weren't here for what I just told Donnie about the Y chromosome or whatnot. The issue isn't that he can find a metric that separates them with some high difference. The issue is that there exist metrics that allow you to show that they're incredibly similar. Those things shouldn't exist under a kinds model, and I demonstrated that in the last debate. I literally generated out kinds and then merge them together and then attempt to taxonomically sort them into the past. And you know what? It fails. Land your plane, right? It fails. It's not possible.
Can you tell me what I asked you?
What?
Can you tell me the question I asked you?
I'm gonna be honest.
You want me to verbatim?
Too.
Yeah.
You want verbatim?
What? No, not verbatim.
I have no idea. You want to ask it again?
No.
All right, I'm gonna move on here. Mr. Jax 79. Sorry,
what
Bobby.
Question did I ask you?
All right, Bobby. Derailing. Mr. Jax says,
what question did I ask you?
Are we bacteria? Are we
Oh,
bacteria?
you can't
AR?
remember? Must be you're an idiot.
Decorum. Are we bacteria? AR? We are descended from bacteria, after all, according to you.
We descended from bacteria? I don't know if we descended from bacteria. I'd have to ask a biologist.
Tengu VPR says he's an ancient fish. So.
Thank you.
Great. Okay, so the difference is the terminology. There are ancient bacteria and modern bacteria that don't have anything to do with each other. I don't think that we're part of the ancient bacteria line, if I remember correctly. I think it's better to just say an amoeba. I think that that's easier. But if amoebas are considered bacteria, and I'd have to ask a biologist this, then we do come from a bacteria. But I'm not sure. I don't know where the lines are because I haven't looked it up. Right. But again, these are just words we invented to talk about these categories now, right? That doesn't mean that
categories
there's any fixed lines, right?
Are
There's no
there
fixed lines.
great? Are there objective categories
What do you mean by objective?
in biology? Are there any objective categories?
So the word objective just simply means, right, that we have things
Fucking
based
hell.
on facts, data, and evidence. So the words that we invented are used for communicating particular ideas. So we would
Are
call
those-
those objective because they're not based on someone's opinion.
Are there objective categories in nature?
We would call those categories objective if they're not based on our personal
I
opinion.
didn't ask you what they call them. I asked a yes or no question. Are there objective biological
You
categories?
literally said, are there objective categories? And
Yeah.
I said we would call them objective if they're not based on our opinion. You then said I didn't answer you.
Are there any objective categories that are not based on
I really think
opinion?
you just like yelling at people. I really think
Axiomatic.
that's your
Are there
entire
any
objective.
look, dude? I asked you a simple question. Are there any objective categories absent human opinion?
If you're using the word objective that I use, the answer is yes.
Cool. What's one objective category in biology that's objective that has a
Mammals.
criteria? Mammals.
The word mammals is objective
And
because
what makes
it's not based on my opinion.
Okay. And what makes it objective is at least one essential property called mammary glands. Would you agree?
Again, these are approximatory
You can answer a single
statements and
question, bro.
properties. I just
So-
answered 3.
So they're
You wouldn't
objective, but they're
answer my
approximate.
question.
They're objective, but they're approximate.
Can I ask you questions?
Well, no, because it's evolution under fire. So I just actually
I'm not allowed to ask you questions.
you
Clarifying
just
questions
dodged,
would be great.
dude.
You're just
Well,
you
honestly,
literally
yeah, sure.
this
That's
is
all
the
you do
I
is
audience.
see how
dodge
it
and
works. I
obfuscate.
see how it works.
That's
This
all
is
you
the
do.
audience section.
Literally, all you do is obfuscate
obfuscate
and dodge, bro.
conversation. No shit's given. I got
You just contradicted yourself. Approximate objective.
Well, Bobby, is reasoning just a chemical reaction like farting is a chemical reaction? Richard Torres, MMA for 5, would like to know.
Is what a what a?
Is reasoning just a chemical reaction like farting is a chemical reaction?
I mean, I guess I don't know. What is not all things in physics are quantified as chemical reactions.
Chat,
right?
I'm not
We have
acting like
things
you
that
don't enjoy
happen-
this. I know you enjoy
We
this,
just
chat.
said-
have
Sure.
things.
You literally just said your own thinking is farting.
What?
You
Why would we
literally
say
just
that?
said your own thinking tonight as a debate is farting.
Jim Bob, are your farts made of atoms? Are your farts made of atoms? Jim Bob, are your farts made of atoms?
Brings a whole new meaning to brain fart.
Are you made of atoms? Oh my God, Jim Bob, you're made of farts. Oh my God.
All right, we got
You're
some
made of farts.
We got some $10 to get through here that came in here just after I read Alexander Medeiros. What's up, Wi-Fi
See how
Gospel?
dumb that is?
He says, "Was
Are
George
you-
Floyd an
you
ape?" We
amused?
actually got that
You're made
answer
of farts,
already.
Jim
Wi-Fi,
Bob.
you're gonna have to rewind. So Andrew Whitgriff for 10 says, "AR, are you capable of restating any of JB's questions, or are all your answers determined?"
All of my answers determined? I'd love Jim Bob to tell me a verbatim question I've asked him. Like that's not how discussions work. Our brains don't operate on verbatim. Our brains operate on how things make us feel and how the conversation is flowing. That's typically the way our brains work. We latch onto particular ideas. We have a particular flow. I could approximate what it is that Jim Bob and I have talked about. He has repeatedly, for example,
He doesn't know the
tried
question
to say that definitions have some guaranteed perfect.
What was the
specificity to
question,
them.
Bobby?
He keeps trying to use that in an effort to try to.
What was the question?
He was asking, right, whether or not I can restate any question of yours.
No, that's not what
right?
he asked, you buffoon.
What? Yes, it was.
No,
Well, that was
he's
the first
not.
part of the
He's asked
question.
about determinism, whether or not
my Lord,
ultimately,
dude.
you're ultimately
What
he's
is
asking.
your problem, man? Like seriously,
You don't listen. That's my problem. You're my problem. You
I
don't listen.
do listen. You literally
Yeah.
think you literally
Axiomatic.
behave like a second grader and make a fart joke and then laugh hysterically. As
No,
though
it wasn't a
that's
fart
theater.
joke. You don't understand the joke, dude. Like you don't understand that what
Don't
the person
understand
asked.
the joke. The joke
no,
is that you
the
think
joke-
you're made of farts.
No, dude. He's actually doing.
Are you
an
made of
intro-
atoms?
You won't let me talk. If
Are
under
your
your
farts made of atoms?
Let
Holy
him
fuck,
ask this
dude.
question, and then we're gonna move on real quick after you answer.
If under your view, there's no categorical distinction between gas going out of your body and gas coming out of your mouth, propositions versus farting, then under your view, there's no real distinction of what a proposition is insofar as its truth value. And so if everything is a deterministic, mechanistic, epiphenomenal event coming out of your mouth or your orifices, and there's no real categorical distinctions, then you just admitted that your own reasoning is identical to a deterministic involuntary action, biologically speaking, called a fart.
False.
What do you mean
That's
false?
just incorrect.
You literally conceded.
Because again, you did the whole thing again, where it's like, do these things share things in common? Therefore,
what's
they
the
are
distinction?
identical to each other.
Let me ask you the distinction.
One is
what's the symmetry breaker?
Well, one is a gas, right, and the other one isn't. Like, so there's obviously properties that distinguish these two.
Axiomatic. Listen closely to my question. What distinguishes the thing coming out of your
gas?
Fuck, dude. What distinguishes?
Does gas contain neurons?
I'm not asking what things are made of. Propositions. What's a proposition made of?
What's a proposition? It's a statement in logic.
What's it made of? Listen to the words coming out of my mouth. What is a proposition?
It makes no sense to say what is it made of. It's a thing we made up. That's like
what's
saying,
a fart?
What is
what's a fart?
made of?
What's a fart composed of?
It's a gas.
Great. Is a proposition a gas?
No.
Great. What's a proposition under the evolutionary view if you're going to reduce it to biology?
So the evolutionary theory is a large model with a lot of different.
You didn't answer my question, bro. Obfuscate machine. What is a proposition under the evolutionary paradigm? What is it? What's the category? What is it? Is it a biological effect? Is it a physical effect?
Evolution?
Holy shit, dude! I give up.
All right,
evolution is a large theory.
What is a proposition?
A proposition is a statement. It's a statement in a logic system.
Cool. What is that in the evolutionary view? What's the category you put a statement in?
There are. Do you know what zeroth order logic is?
I give up. He's not going to answer a single question.
Yeah, give me a statement in zeroth order logic. You don't fucking know.
AR.
So you're literally just making shit up.
Buddy. All right,
Again, propositions are logic statements like
P
and Q, P or Q, P and Q.
Okay.
These are propositional statements. Propositions are in propositional logic.
Aren't they physical states of affairs in biology? A proposition comes out of our brain and utters out of our mouth.
The word proposition used in the
I'm saying the effect, not the word, dude.
Sense, right? Is going to simply be a statement about stuff that we're talking about.
Is a statement an effect of physics that come out of your mouth? Yes or no?
Is a statement an effect of physics?
Words that comes out of your mouth.
Mouths, yes. Words
cool.
come out of our mouths.
What distinguishes one effect of physics having truth aptness and another effect of physics, a fart, not having truth aptness?
There's no such thing as truth aptness. You just made shit up, dude.
We got like 10 questions left. Let me get through these.
Literally,
there's no such thing,
dude. Literally just making shit.
AR. Axiomatic. This one's for you.
Right.
What do you have to say about the coelacanth and other Lazarus taxa? Why hasn't it changed over time, given that time is the variable that allows for evolution to occur? Or is time irrelevant?
I have no idea what that particular biological thing is.
Okay, Jim Bob, if
Is
you'd
that a
like to say
biological
something
thing?
real quick, and then we'll move on to the next one. We got like 10 left. Let's
No.
okay.
No, I don't want to say anything.
Okay. Mr.
course
Jackson,
not.
another
You don't know
10.
anything.
Bobby. Mr. Jackson, another 10. He said, Christian scientists created them, AR. Quit taking my people's achievement as your own, you sophist dog. Talking about the computers again. You were claiming we made computers.
Me? We made computers. Humans. I'm sorry, I'm not following the question.
You were saying scientists specifically earlier, I think. That's what he's replying
Scientists are the ones that made computers, yes.
He's just saying Christian scientists created them, AR. Anyways.
Was Christian Science around in like the 1920s and 30s? I wasn't aware of that.
Goes back a little further. Gregor Mendel. Ghoster Mix says, for 10, AR, would James Clerk Maxwell have to give up science and cell phones because he rejected evolution? He wrote against your exact position.
Why would I care if he wrote against it? Like, this is the weirdest thing ever, is like a guy figured out, the equations of electricity and magnetism. Therefore, everything he thinks is somehow certified as legitimate theory. Like, that isn't how science works in any way, shape, or form. You don't say, hey, this person did a thing once that's good, therefore everything they've ever thought about is also true, right? That's it, completely fallacious.
Okay. Jim Bob, you want to take the last minute here?
Yeah, no, I was just giggling still about the statement. There's no such thing as truth aptness. Does that statement have any truth aptness to it?
As far as I know, yeah.
All right.
I know. You don't know anything about truth or logic or how that stuff works. You could define truth for me if you'd like. What does the word true mean?
Got a minute left on the clock here. If not,
or do you just want to
I'll ask
invent
the
new
next,
words? Truth,
or read the next one.
Truthiness, truth-a-bomb, truthful. Like, you just make up a bunch of words, I guess. I don't know. Say that they all have different meanings.
Gravio sent 10 and he said, the chat has coined a new nickname for you, Jim Bob. Meaner Timu J. Dyer. Lol. Great debate. Going to watch the whole thing later. Can't wait to watch more. Thank you for the 10.
Happy to be a Timu Meaner J. Dyer.
Yeah.
So low tier, dude.
All right. Fascinating.
Arborg for 15 shekels. Bro, AR just admitted that it's all a guessing game and they have no answer for the phenomenon.
As he says and types that comment from his pocket computer. Smart, bro.
Okay. Christopher Scott for 5. Please, for the love of all that is holy, AR, Steelman, anybody's question.
Steelman, anyone's question? I didn't even get to inquire with Jim Bob. He refused to answer questions of mine. He literally from the start was antagonistic and said, I refuse to even talk to you. So the only thing he wanted to do was just ask questions repeatedly and then didn't give a shit about the answers of them and scream at me. I think it's like, silly, but it's like second grade, right? Like, do you give a shit about the truth at all? Like,
the thing that you said doesn't exist because there's no such thing as truth aptness, you mean?
I asked you to define what the word truth was. You said you said truth aptness or whatever, right? Tell me what that is.
Truth aptness refers to the property of a sentence and whether or not it corresponds with reality in correspondence theory, you dumbass.
Okay. So is it based on evidence? How do you justify that?
It's based on correspondence and coherency. This gets into the theory of truth, theory of information, and the rest of things. But the question that the questioner asked, which he paid for, can you tell me what he asked?
I don't have the chat open. I'm not reading it, man.
You freaking dude, you're unbelievable.
He's just
don't listen.
He was asking.
Has anyone ever told you don't listen?
And you're reading it?
Has anyone ever told you? I'm trying to help you. Is it possible that
dude,
Bobby,
you
is
have
it possible?
Open and you're reading it. Okay.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you do.
I don't have his stream open. I have my stream open,
listen,
you dummy.
Shut the fuck up. Of course
is it possible?
Open. We
I
both
don't have
know
his stream open.
Like, it's
is it possible? I don't have his stream
asking
open.
people to regurgitate verbatim questions over and over again is not.
Is it possible that you don't listen?
Down demonstration.
Is it
that someone doesn't know what they're talking about?
Is it possible that you don't listen?
This is silly. This is not how people converse.
Is it possible?
Why is it actually gave a shit about the truth?
Why is it I can recite from memory what the question asked?
Really? You want to try?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you have it open, so
no, I don't. No, I don't. I have my stream open.
We both know that you're lying, so it doesn't matter.
Can you steal man any question at all?
Oh, dear Lord.
You don't listen, man. I'm trying to help you. You don't listen. You have a habit of not listening.
You won't even allow questions to be stated to you. You don't know any of this shit. You don't know what random means. You don't know you literally pretend like words have some type of guaranteed specificity to them. You won't.
So what you're saying isn't guaranteed
in there.
But to be fair, Bobby, you don't need to know the question verbatim to steel man someone's question. You just need to know what the underlying position is. And then you try to strengthen it to then
I literally
combat
asked him if the Earth was 6,000 years old, and he refused. So
That's irrelevant to evolution, dude.
Most people would think that we were going to have a discussion with each other and then we were going to just talk. But it appears Jim Bob was highly interested in just screaming, right? He wanted to ask questions.
I'm
the
sorry.
moment you go to answer, he just says and screams at you that you're not answering the question.
You should have been screamed at a lot more as a kid. So look, if can you tell me the relevance? Can you tell me
No, what the fuck was that? Really?
Can you tell me? Can you tell?
Really?
It's called rhetoric.
You
It's
got
called rhetoric.
6 questions left.
You're not good at
That
it.
you call that rhetoric?
It's good rhetoric.
Like
So
behaving like a bully? Wow.
yes,
Okay.
actually, yeah. So the thing
Yeah,
is,
okay.
can you tell me what would be relevant to the truth of evolution if the person questioning evolution held basically a young Earth position?
If someone held a young Earth position, they are typically under the impression that there are kinds. Correct?
No, how would the relevance of the person's belief of a young Earth change your ability to defend the affirmative of evolution? How is that relevant?
If someone had testable, reproducible material and predictions, and they published them in peer-reviewed literature, and it was demonstrated that everything came from kinds and that the Earth is 6,000 years old, I would, in a heartbeat, switch to that method.
How would
that theory?
Oh my
I
gosh,
wouldn't
dude!
care.
It's amazing.
You act like I care.
It's actually
that
amazing.
Evolution is the one that's
How
with all the evidence.
Do you know there are people who are atheistic and hold a very ancient Earth model as proposed as the scientific community holds today that question evolution? So I'm asking you a question. If someone holds to the age of the Earth is 400,000 billion years old or whatever, how is it relevant to the truth and the ability for you to defend evolution? How is it relevant?
There's a lot of evidence to the age of the Earth, and there's a lot of evidence for the evolutionary model. We do it in the laboratory.
What did
we
I
have
ask you?
experiments. We
What
can
did I ask
literally
you?
see how it's done. We
What did I ask
literally
you?
have done experiments of abiogenesis.
What did I
We have
ask
thousands
you?
of individual things. We have taxonomical ordering that lines up with the fossil record.
What did I ask you?
We have dating methods, carbon-14. We have argon dating methods. All of these things align with each other. We literally calculate in physics models the decay rate of how C14 is going to behave. This perfectly aligns with how we calculate out what it does based on when we pull it from the environment. Like,
okay, what did I ask you?
You're making it out like these things don't
Bobby,
corroborate each
Bobby,
other.
what did I ask you?
We got 8 questions
No,
left.
no,
since
hold
one
on,
more
hold
came
on.
in.
Let me just ask you.
Yeah, let's get this
wait,
one and then we'll move on.
Are you
what
going
did
to
I ask
stop
you?
doing the verbatim shit? It's getting
What did I
very
ask
annoying.
you?
Well, stop asking the verbatim shit.
I didn't ask for verbatim.
Stop
I asked,
asking the verbatim shit. It's
You
getting
don't know what
very
I asked
annoying.
you. You don't know what I asked you.
I'm not going to verbatim.
I didn't ask
state what
verbatim,
it is.
dude.
Oh my God.
What did I ask you?
You were simply asking me about the what a young Earth creationist would think about the evidence of evolution today or what.
Wrong.
Right?
Wrong.
Yes,
No,
that is
wrong.
That's
not what I asked
in line with
Literally not what I asked you.
verbatim. I can't recite it verbatim. Neither could
No.
you.
Yes, I can. You want to give it back to you?
can't.
I'll tell you right now.
I do.
Let me try it.
No,
If you're going to
you
challenge
either
me, I'll do
wrote
it.
You either wrote it down or you
I have
read
a
it.
good
I
brain.
care,
You
dude.
don't.
All right.
Okay, I'll
Wait,
recite
let
it.
me read
Oh
this
my
one.
God,
relevance?
shut
Let me
the
read this
fuck
one and then
up.
you can
relevance?
recite
You're
it.
such a bully.
What
dude.
relevance?
Is this how you talk to everyone?
Yes.
You just
What
treat people like this?
Yes. What relevance?
My Lord.
What
you
relevance?
literally know nothing. Oh my God.
What relevance does someone's position on the age of the Earth have to the
As he's
truthfulness of evolution?
What are you looking down at?
You really think I don't remember that? What's wrong with you, man?
Of course you did it. That's why you were reading it.
You can't remember a question from 20 seconds ago, dude?
Wow.
Bobby,
That's why you were reading it.
Bobby, Chaw
'Cause
XDD.
You couldn't remember it either.
Bobby, Chaw.
I literally
That's gonna
formulated
make
the
a
question
great clip
myself.
where I zoom in on your eyeballs as you're looking.
All right. Sorry, I
Harder,
I
bro.
don't like to mute, but I have to do this just to get this one out because then you guys could have kept going. Hey, Bobby, Chaw XDD says, my mom is a fish and my dad is a slab of limestone. I just wanted to thank you for speaking up for us. Okay.
Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah, see, told you that was gonna be quick. Kung Fu JO3 for 10 says, to Dr. Bobby, if evolution was a slow and gradual process, would you say that there are humans today that are phenotypically more similar to our last common ancestor primate?
phenotypically similar. I have no idea. The normally we categorize the species as a whole and where it's moving, right? And all of us are human, right? I just in the last debate, right? I pointed out that in general, the human species propagates its genome on approximately a 2,000 year cycle or so, maybe 1,000, 2,000. So, like everyone today is a direct descendant of everyone whose lineage didn't die off about 2,000 years ago or so. There's a couple of papers that went over this, right? Like there's a number file video on it. I always bring that up. It's what every baby is a royal baby. It's a very good paper. Really enjoyed that one. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, I would add to that.
About a
Can
minute
you
left here.
can you tell me what the question was that he asked?
he was asking about phylogenetic, whether or not there are people that are more closer in phylogeny to our ancestors than other people, right? And I pointed out,
Phenotypical.
I pointed out, right, that we don't really measure in that particular way because we normally measure on the species level. I thought my answer made perfect sense. Are you being an idiot and saying it didn't?
No, I just want to make sure that you understand the question. The question was, are there existing humans in the category of humans who are phenotypically
How
more
is that different from what I just
You're
said?
not letting me
dude?
talk, dude.
How is that different from what I just said?
I let you talk. Why don't
Did
you
you
let me
just
talk?
read it again?
So
You
can
must have an auto transcriber.
Mike, can you
That's what you're
please?
doing.
Yeah.
Please,
Oh my
it's my
God.
turn.
That is brilliant.
Bobby,
You
Bobby.
have an auto transcriber.
He can't believe there's a functioning brain
Let him
beside him.
finish this up, and we'll go to the next one.
So when the questioner asks if there's something phenotypically similar, right? Can you tell me what he means by phenotype as opposed to genotype?
I do not know the differences between.
Why would you answer a question if you don't know what phenotype means?
Because I know it has something to do
Get
with
the
our
fuck out of here, dude.
relatedness
You're a
among the
joke. You're an
species.
absolute joke.
Oh, then please explain. Teach me, please. What's the difference?
Phenotype is referring to the physicality in the anatomy, what's similar. Genotype is the genetic similarity. You don't even know the distinctions. You
So
need to
is
shut the hell
that
up.
not? How is that not even the same?
Co-parter,
as what I just
next
said?
question. It's an embarrassment.
Is it related? So
You're
it
an
is.
embarrassment.
It's how people are related
You're
in
an
their own species.
embarrassment.
All right.
I literally said exactly what you just said, and you are saying that I didn't say that. What are you doing?
You didn't know what phenotypical means.
You didn't know what random data is.
Endosymbiosis of mitochondria having their own separate DNA is evidence against your claim. They are not distinct. Bobby, don't interrupt me, please. They are not distinct. One engulfed the other. Steve 2520 sent that for 5. Endosymbiosis, mitochondria, separate DNA. Jim Bob, do you think this is towards you?
Say it again.
One last time from Steve. Endosymbiosis of mitochondria having their own separate DNA is evidence against your claim. They are not distinct. One engulfed the other.
I actually don't know. He's not being very specific, so I'm not sure who's that.
He's also not really asking a question.
Yeah. I wish it was. It sounds interesting.
Yeah,
I wish he was more clear on it.
Steve, there's no timestamp or anything that shows when you sent the super chat, so we don't know what you're referencing. Yeah, but I do want to read this one. Kyvan Roos thought I skipped him. No, I just didn't. Your chat didn't show up in the thing. For 10, he says scientific theories have been disproven because they were first questioned. We don't deny science. We simply reject the story of evolution. Change in the species has, but not complexity. Coming from random mutation. I know English is a second language for you, Kyvan.
Kevin?
No, it's Kyvan Rus. That's the Ukrainian name that I learned the last debate.
Kevin?
I'm not following the last
Kevin.
Something about
I'm calling you Kevin now. Okay.
Was that a question or was it a statement?
It's a statement saying the only reason scientific theories have been disproven is because they were first questions. It's not about denying science. We're simply rejecting the story of evolution.
Yeah, when things are published like frauds or like this particular taxonomy was done correctly, those are done by other scientists. They're done by anthropologists. They're done by biologists or whatnot. So like the idea that like, science is like not aiming for the truth is just silly. Like we obviously are going to scrutinize even when other information turns out to be incorrect. We will retract papers if they're wrong, right?
Okay. Jim Bob, you want to do a quick
Yeah,
30-second
sure.
here minute?
Yeah. Yeah, to determine something's wrong is to assume that there's an arbiter, a methodology for what
False.
determines.
Hey,
Why
this
do you
is Jim
fucking
Bob's
not
time.
let me talk, dude?
Sorry.
You don't even
Just
deserve that beard. It does nothing. Okay.
Carry on.
So the only reason you can correct, right, revision, to take an approach to science that you have revision to your disposal means that you have a methodology for revision. Methodology for revision is the very thing in question, and the person who paid the super chat knows this. My group of people actually know this, which is you can't actually correct a scientific theory or refine it without a methodology, the methodology being strict, the strict arbiter for two competing hypotheses, the thing that nulls something and the thing that affirms something to a high degree of likelihood is based in experimentation. It's not based in adding more data. It's based on actual science being done. This is an action. Science, the methodology is an action. It's not a modeling process. It's not an examination of more data and interpreting more data. So the person is asking a really good question that that ends my opponent's position, which is revision is only possible if you have an arbiter and a methodology for revision.
All right, we are at the final stretch here, gentlemen. Just got a couple more. Looking like we might be able to finish this before 11:30. Right. Mahoney UK for £5 says, "What's the Evo advantage of a two-sex reproductive model? Can a man be a woman? What is a woman? What percentage chance that Axio will answer less than one of my questions?"
He's not going to answer any.
I'm sorry, what was the first question?
What's the Evo advantage of a two-sex reproductive model?
My understanding is that it's incredibly useful to be able to spread around the genome.
Okay.
And
Next
in
question
general,
is
when you're multicellular organisms typically did very well when they had more than one sex. But
Okay.
again, we do see this
we
spread
got
across
three
Oh
more.
my
We got three
gosh.
more. We got three more, Bobby.
Sorry.
Second question is, can a man be a woman? He only sent £5, so I just want to get through these with
Can a
as short
man
as
be a
possible
woman?
answers.
I guess technically no, right? Because a woman
Okay, that's a
is
good answer. What is a woman
someone
is
that
the next one.
aligns themselves with what they think femininity is, right?
Thank you.
What is a woman is the next question.
Yeah, someone that aligns
Okay,
themselves with
I
what
thought
they
you were
think
attacking that
femininity
onto the
is.
last one. And then what percentage chance that Axio will answer less than 1% of my Qs? Well, he answered all of them for you there, Mahoney. Next one here, unless Jim Bob wants a 30-second on that one.
Yeah, I mean, he just said at the end there, a woman is anything a person aligns themselves with femininity, which is a regressive definition. Doesn't tell me what a woman is.
Then what's a woman?
A woman is a biological human that has the biological developmental pathways of ovaries and reproductive capacity that are aligned with ovaries. So there's only two pathways into
What if someone's
biological.
born
Hold
with
on,
a
dude.
penis and ovaries?
There's one that's dominant in so far as the pathway. A penis and
What happens
ovaries.
if one is
Dude, I'm
born with
trying
a
to fucking
testicle and
answer your
ovaries?
question.
he's-
Shut your fucking mouth, dude.
Put 15 more
Yeah,
seconds up
it's
there.
because your
I'm
definition
trying
makes
to-
no sense.
Let him
I'm
answer it,
trying
and then
to
you can ask
answer
a couple,
you,
and then I'll move on.
So the developmental pathways are still dominant. So what you're pointing to is an external phenomenon where there's two of the same appendages. That doesn't change what's internally happening. So you're looking at something outside of the body that fools you, right? I'm sure you've been fooled a lot at the bars that you go to. So the thing is, internally, there's an actual direction of pathways, right? You either go to the developmental pathways of the female, or you go to the developmental pathways of the male, regardless if on the surface multiple appendages are confusing to you.
So what happens if someone's born with a penis and they develop boobs, right? Because they have XX chromosome.
We don't determine sex by merely X or XY. I just told you.
You said the pathways.
That has nothing, dude. Are you retarded?
No, you said pathways, and
Pathways
I pointed out,
develop.
how do you determine what someone's sex is before they've developed boobs?
Dude, unbelievable. The pathways of sexual developmental pathways are determined in the embryonic stage.
If someone has a testicle and ovary, what do you call them?
What? There's only a pathway for the ovaries or
What is a person with a testicle and an ovary called?
a mishap.
Are they a man or a woman?
Internally, you will find one dominant pathway, whatever that is.
So
It's
they're
not
a
equal.
baby. They have a testicle and an ovary. What are you?
A testicle is
categorize them as?
external inside the pathway.
Great.
You have to
What are
determine.
you going
You
to
have to
categorize
look.
them as?
I told you, you have to look inside of the pathway that's dominant.
Great. Why? So you're saying that every child born with a testicle and ovary needs to be determined in advance?
Well, no,
How?
I just told you. You go inside the body and you will see the developmental pathway.
So we stick something up in the child
There's
in order to do a microscope and figure out what gender
What did
they
I just
are.
tell you? There's no equal pathway that's
I'd
developed.
have to move it on.
Never.
I'm getting a little too out of in the weeds here. Thanks for all the jewels, guys. I see James is probably watching the debate, sending 6, 7 jewels. Boomer. Okay. We got truth value does not exist, end quote, has truth value. Do you not realize that is an incoherent statement, AR? Do you know anything about logic?
Yep.
Yes, I have literally lessons on logic. I'm a mathematician. I know about logic. I doubt Jim Bob knows anything about logic. He misquoted Gödel's completeness theorem. Probably couldn't tell me what zeroth order and first order logic are, right? He didn't know what a proposition is. I doubt he could give me a propositional statement, right? Mm-hmm. Anyway, so the list goes on. I do want to acknowledge Jim Bob did point out that there are 3 categories of gender. What was it? Male, female, and mishap was, I think, his.
No, that's not what I said at all. You're a liar.
You did use mishap. Yes.
When did I use the term gender, you idiot?
Gender or sex? You want to use sex?
Oh, is that different than gender? You dum-dum? You big dum-dum?
Big dum-dum? Are you mad?
Is gender different? Is gender different than sex? Is gender different than sex from your view?
So I'm happy to go back and forth between sex and gender. In
is
general,
there
is a technical difference between the two.
Topic,
cool, you just own yourself.
I'm happy
then.
to go back and forth between the two. I
don't
really
you just
care,
conflated them. Cool.
Right?
You conflated them.
All right,
and
Alchemist.
You acknowledge
Bobby,
that you acknowledge that it's non-binary.
Listen,
Thank
you're
you,
a
Jim
dum-dum.
Bob.
Bobby,
yes, I know.
Binary assumes pole.
believer.
Do you know
Yes.
non-binary?
Yes.
Right, non-binary. Okay,
Mhm.
so if gender, let me ask you a question.
If
30 gender
seconds, I want to hear this.
If gender and sex are different, can a biological female be a trans woman?
A biological female be a trans woman? So again, if we're going to go into the specifics of sex, right, which is typically going to refer to the physical things that a person is born with or what they're maybe assigned with at birth, right? Then someone may be categorized, right, as a female, right? And then their gender, right, is part of our culture. It's part of the society that we live in, right?
You didn't answer the question,
and so someone may decide to align themselves with what they feel femininity.
Cool. You didn't answer my question.
Masculinity is.
That you didn't answer the question.
Someone can be a man, right? That was.
I didn't ask for a man. Oh, you don't listen to anything, Dodo Bird. I asked you if a biological female can be a trans woman.
Oh, I didn't hear the question again.
No shit! You don't listen.
Wow.
All right.
Why would you ask? Why would you ask?
You deserve no
way?
food or water.
All right, Jim Bob. Don't want to hurt my ears a little bit.
He just screamed at me.
Okay, stop, Bobby. I muted you for a reason. Don't unmute yourself and then start talking. That's very disrespectful to the mod.
It's just.
I get it. Keep it to yourself for a moment. Let me read this, and then you can respond and take your criticism, what you're going to say, into it. Alchemist 9 for 5 says, "My wife tells me I have a distinct fart smell. How did I make a distinct smell if we're all the same species?" This is important.
I cannot comment on your wife's nose. For all I know, it's it's a specialized, nose of science that needs to be studied.
So the
because
distinction
it
is in the
has,
nose, not
you know-
the fart. I think you got your answer.
Oh,
Alchemist.
clearly, yes, clearly, yes. There could be a miracle there, right?
All right, Jim Bob, you want 30 seconds? Nope. All right. That one stinks. Got it. Right. We got Arborg. I think we already read that one. Christopher Scott for 10. He says, I'm going to extend an olive branch saying there is no such thing as truth aptness is a performative contradiction. That was in quotes. Is a performative contradiction, meaning that statement can't be true. Now, can you steel man what I just said?
Was that to me?
Yes, that's to
Yes.
you. Have you not been
Oh,
here
I'm
the whole
sorry.
time?
Dude, for fuck's sake, man. I am sick.
I'm gonna
My head
get
is
you.
hurting like hell, right? I don't know why you'd have to literally be a piece of crap the entire time
It's
in
good
this
for you.
conversation.
It's good for you.
Is it? Really?
Yeah.
Kind of like a
Yeah.
detox.
You know what? You need to be more educated. You need to go back to school. You need to learn some
That's
of
a
this shit.
fallacy.
Because when you're talking to someone like about
You don't
logic,
even know the
you don't
question.
anything. It's
You
like
don't know the
really
question.
annoying, right?
You don't even know the question.
Mike, can you please ask the
I'll
question again?
restate the question. Want me
Steel
to do
I
man
know
it.
we all know that you have a transcript.
I
dude.
don't. I literally listen.
No one
I
cares.
listen.
No one cares. No one cares. I do not care.
Cool.
All right.
Yes.
I will restate it one last time, then we'll get to Arborg's 30 shekel question. Christopher Scott for 10 says, I'm going to extend an olive branch saying, quote, there is no such thing as truth aptness, end quote, is a performative contradiction, meaning that statement can't be true. Now, can you steel man what I just said?
Well, so the fallaciousness that you're stating is that I'm stating that that is absolutely true. And that's not true, right? In general, every statement we make is going to be based on the evidence and data we have to justify it, meaning that any statement we make can always be overturned, right? Even the statement I just made could be overturned. I don't know, right? In general, I justify
Right.
the statement I just made as well as the statements in science that we develop through evidence and data, evidence, and facts, right?
Wow. So, first of all, he asked you to steel man his question. You didn't do that. What do you think truth aptness means?
Jesus, you just defined it.
What does it mean?
Did you not? Did you
No.
not define it like 30 minutes ago?
Yeah. What
As
does truth aptness mean?
As basically truth based on evidence or comporting with reality?
No,
For
not
fuck's
exactly.
sake, I'm tired of this verbatim shit, man.
It's not verbatim. I didn't ask for verbatim, dude.
What is Gödel's incompleteness theorem? I stated it to you verbatim.
Okay, so truth aptness is referring to
What
the
is Gödel's incompleteness theorem?
I'm trying to tell you what
Just
truth aptness is.
State it verbatim.
I
No, just state
already we already went
All you
through
gotta
that.
do is
No,
say the exact words.
Steel manning
Okay,
is
trying
different
to-
from verbatim. Just want to
Yeah.
Can you state it?
No,
He's steel manning it
can't.
right now. That's what
So
the
I
question
want to
asked.
stick to the question
Yeah,
because
but
he paid
Mike,
for it.
his objective
I'm-
was to ask me directly to
my
state it verbatim. And
No, I
every
didn't
time
say
literally-
verbatim. You're a
Every time I
liar.
literally state things that are incredibly close, he just says no and then literally restates the exact
I
same
didn't
thing
ask
over
for
again.
verbatim, dude.
He's done it multiple times, right?
Truth aptness. The question, person asking the question, you didn't even understand the question in the statement. What he said was, from my memory, is when you say the statement,
As he looks down, what are you
I'm not
reading?
looking down, dude. Nothing is truth apt, is a statement. Truth apt is referring to the property of a statement insofar as how true it is. That's truth aptness. And so when you say, as the person who donated, thank you, he donated and said the statement, there's no such thing as truth aptness, it's a made-up term, is a type of contradiction, because in order for it to be true, the proposition would have to be truth apt. That's what he said. Do you understand?
The way in which you were using truth apt had nothing to do with this particular definition being put forth by
He doesn't
truth
understand.
apt.
So that's a no. You
So
don't
like
understand.
this is just silly.
All right, we're going to go to Borg's question for 30 shekels. A, we don't deny science.
I
We
know.
deny your philosophy
I
of
know.
science. B,
'Cause
I'm
you
not
don't
your
know
opponent.
anything.
C, how come a scientist doesn't know what a Lazarus taxa is, let alone a coelacanth? Why bother debating?
I'm a mathematician.
Got
Why,
him.
why am I expected to know everything?
I thought you said you're a scientist.
I am.
Is math science?
I don't work on only math. I know
Is
this
math science? You don't answer a single damn
yes,
question,
math
dude.
is science.
Math
Yes.
is science. Okay.
What field is, what is it called when you go to the university? What do they put it under? Natural, what? Natural
I'm sorry.
sciences.
Math is natural.
Holy fuck. Math is called natural science?
Is
I
math
know you didn't
math
know that,
natural?
right?
Is math natural?
Math
Okay.
is considered a natural science. Yes.
We
I know.
have two
I
super
know you just
chats
got
left.
educated. Yeah.
Two super chats left. We're right there, guys. We're right there.
Mm.
Octavian 33 for 2. Axiomatic double chin mass is less than his gray matter. Oh, does this mean Octavian?
Was that a me? I suppose.
Chaw
My red
XDD
beard.
for 5 says, Bobby, can you just tell us what it means to steal man in position? Let's go back to basics. This is the last one,
Oh,
unless
dear.
someone feeling generous right now. And
So
keeps us
steel
going.
manning is typically you're supposed to argue the other person's position, right? Like how they would argue it, right? Normally, though, steel man is simply used as a mechanism of like pointing out that someone doesn't know this, doesn't know that, or doesn't know how to argue, or can't, talk in good faith or whatnot. It's normally used in a pretty fallacious way, right? For example, when someone is presenting a completely pseudoscience position and then they say steel man me, it's like, how the hell am I supposed to steel man that? It's like completely fallacious. How do you steel man that the mito tree that we literally developed is completely fake or something? That makes no sense, right? Like it's silly when people just keep saying steel man over and over again
Real quick,
as though that's like
Bobby.
a gotcha, right?
Even Lord asks, Axiom, do you still believe academia should purge all young Earth creationists from their positions?
There are many young Earth creationists that probably shouldn't be in a position at university anymore. I don't know if I could use the word all. That seems a little ridiculous, right? There's, lots of people in lots of different positions. Um, this has to be weighed heavily with the concept of tenure. How much do we respect people in a tenured position? Because if we consider the concept of tenure pretty important, then we might, feel compelled to leave people in positions, even if they are young Earth creationists, right?
I have something to add to that. I want a quick answer because you said earlier in the debate, a model isn't true, it's useful. If creationism was a model to investigate the world as if it was true that it was created, if it was more useful, it was demonstrated to be more useful to look at it like a created thing, like an engineered thing, would you advocate for adopting a creationist view if it was useful?
What? No.
Holy fuck, dude.
All right.
So
Our
the
Borg sent
word
one
true.
more.
I
Go
can't even.
ahead.
It's like visiting like a vegetable. It's like I'm like literally like maybe he'll wake up, maybe he'll understand language, maybe he'll open his eyes.
What the fuck is your problem? I'm sorry that I
You're
don't have a
you're
transcriber and that I'm
you're
sick and that I'm
you're
trying to talk to
you
you in
need a
good
helmet,
faith.
dude. You need a
don't
helmet.
need you don't need to talk to me like you're in second grade. This is
You
ridiculous,
need a
man.
helmet.
I know you got cooked on this debate because you didn't know shit. You literally know nothing. And it's probably hurting your feelings. And that's probably why you started lashing out.
I
You're
don't
like,
have
I need
feelings.
to start just screaming at this
Our
guy
Borg,
because I'm an idiot that
You
literally
can't
knows
you
nothing.
can't even tell me what I asked you.
looks like there's one last
Not
set
anymore
here of
after
super
my
chats.
brain has been thinking about,
I'll read our
trying to
Borgs
fucking
first.
yell at you.
He said, "Buddy did a Mott Bailey on a super chat?" ? And then the very last one that came in from Burning Bush's channel said, "Glory to Jesus Christ, axiomatic reasoning. I hope you come see an Eastern Orthodox church. I know this debate was tough on you. Truth is Jesus Christ."
Oh, I've been to them. No, sorry.
Orthodox specifically, you did? Or
Yeah.
earlier I thought
I've
you
been
thought
to a lot of different churches.
Orthodox was Catholic, so I just wanted to make sure that was.
Well, that's because I didn't hear the word Catholic, or sorry, or the word Orthodox.
Okay.
I heard the word Catholic, but that's just my brain,
Seth
But yeah,
Meyers,
I've been to lots of different churches.
Okay, now they're trying to keep us from ending. Borg said, AR came to debate Jim Bob, lost to the chat. What a world we live in. Tel Aviv is not impressed. Then Seth Meyers for 5 says, what are the 3 laws of logic? Both JB and AR. Let's let Bobby go first.
Oh dear
Law of
Lord.
identity, excluded middle, and non-contradiction.
All right.
Yeah, those are
have
just
a
the
buzzer.
philosophy definitions. All of those are tautologies and propositional logic, right?
Right.
Typically, propositional logic is defined with slightly different axioms, right?
Right.
Dear Lord, dude, I'm so sorry that I hurt you so badly. My apologies.
Go
You
on.
must just be crying deep inside.
Go on.
Octavian
Like,
just sent
man,
$10 and said, if any
like
claim you
it's
make
like
can be wrong the
you're
next
like a
day.
child that's like you just
All
never
right.
learned how to
Right.
converse with other people,
All right.
Right.
Let's not go
Right.
on too
Oh my
long, and keep in
gosh.
mind that we're reading
Right.
these
Yeah.
chats. Octavian 33
Right.
doesn't want us to
Yeah.
go to bed. He says,
Yeah.
if any
Right.
claim you make can be wrong the next day, as you stated, then science, as you describe it, doesn't exist because it always changes.
So what I was trying to
Thank
say
you, Octavian.
before, but
Right.
Jim Bob didn't give a fuck about, right, was that the
Right.
word true is, when used in science, is to talk about, in some sense, a probabilistic understanding of a particular statement. Like, we
Right.
believe the Earth goes around the sun, and here's all the evidence associated to that particular position, right? And then
Right.
we present that information to other people, right? We present it
Right.
to colleagues and such, right?
Right.
So can you stop? Like,
No,
I know
you're the one doing it.
you're being a fucking bitch, dude. What the hell, man? Like,
Right.
you could calm down.
Right.
Like,
You know
what
that's
the
a
hell's your
manipul.
problem?
You know that's a manipulative tactic to say
So
right over and over again.
it
Right.
it can there are words people use when they
Right.
string sentences together, right?
Right.
So this is something I
No, how about
naturally
it's not
do.
right? How about maybe it's not
You-
right what you're saying?
It's kind of like you screaming, right?
Right.
Right?
Right.
Yeah. See, there's no
Right.
reason to talk to people
Right.
like this.
Right.
Right? Oh my god.
Right. Am I right, you
So
guys? Right.
is this your objective, is just to make fun of the other person? Like,
Yes.
that's your
Mean
entire
Bob
objective?
Jim
Yes.
Bully.
Like, this is so silly. Like, my
Right.
god, dumbass online knows literally zero science, just
Right.
goes does debates to make fun of other people.
Right.
It is so interesting that you have
Right,
like
right.
literally no
Stop it.
concern about knowing what is true.
Blah
right?
blah
Like,
blah blah
you
blah. That's
just-
all I heard this whole night.
Uh,
Yap yap yappa yappa yapathon.
NA the first. Anything above $2,
Oh
I'll
my
ask.
God.
I'm gonna end it at 11:35, and I'm gonna have them shout out their channels. So if you send one in the next 2 minutes, I'll read it. That's the right fallacy, is what I'm above 5 says.
Right.
He didn't want me to talk. That's what it
Like,
was.
Octavian,
So,
right.
like, I was telling him what truth was and how
What's truth?
works and what we use.
How does
it
truth
for
work?
And
How does
what
truth
the
work?
word mean, right?
Uh-huh.
Truth in science is used to talk about the
Uh-huh. Yeah,
shit.
you
I was
got
just
it.
doing it, man.
You got it. You got it.
Octavian
Yeah, I know,
33 says for
You
2,
can
how do you
fuck off,
quantify
dude. You
we
can go fuck
believe in
yourself.
science?
You got it. You can do
So,
it.
Sorry,
Listen,
Octavian. I don't know
listen.
if that's gonna get answered.
So the word
Truth in
truth,
science
the word
is
truth,
refers-
the word truth is used to talk about our confidence in particular statements. Like, the
Uh-huh.
Earth goes around the sun is called true because it has a lot of evidence to justify that particular position. That's how we use the word true when we're talking about scientific statements or scientific papers or whatever the case may be. If you want to go into abstract modeling, the word true there could literally be called an absolute truth, right?
Right.
Because like in propositional logic, we have statements and we call those true. We define them
Right.
to be true.
Hit
Jim
it.
Bob, I know you can grow up, man. I know
it.
you can behave like an adult. I know you can. I have faith in you.
And-
Please, for the fuck's sake, behave like an adult, man. Just
Arbor-
try it.
Why-
Just
Our
try
why
board
it.
should I?
just sent
You know what?
60
Your
shekels.
relationships will improve substantially when you actually.
What?
All right, he just
My
sent 60
relationships? Are you a life coach?
I just gotta read this. Is 60. I don't know what that translates to. Someone tell me what 60 shekels is in USD. But he said, "Yo, Mike, if you think it's funny, just laugh. Don't hide behind the shirt." I'm not like hiding behind his shirt. I'm just trying not to interrupt because it is funny. And then Octavian said, "How do you quantify we believe in science?" I think that was his question, but I might have missed it. Oh, how do you quantify we believe in science was his question, and these were the last 2 that came in before 11:35. No more super chats, guys. I'm gonna end it after these are answered. Okay, you guys can
Right.
answer that quantify we believe in science part.
Quantify we believe in science.
Like, how do we
Does that mean-
quantify we believe in science? It's $20, Arborg. Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
I mean, quantify is typically referring to numerical calculations. I guess you could do a survey. You want to do a survey of how many people say we believe in science? I'm not sure.
So I think you answered the question.
Let me ask you a different way. Do you think that science is the best way to truth?
Science is, as far as we know, yeah.
Okay, so the statement "science is the best way to truth," does that utilize science itself, or is that a philosophical claim?
It appears to utilize science. Yeah.
How do you take "science is the best way to truth" through science?
Again, when you're using the word science, which is referring to a broad category of a lot of different fields and a lot of different methodologies, right? And so if you're
Right.
just saying that that is just one particular thing, that doesn't make any sense.
So again, you didn't answer the question. When someone
Yes,
says
I did. You're lying. I did answer the
No, you
question.
didn't.
I answered it
So
correctly.
I'm
Yes, I
sorry.
did. You
Are you
lied.
talking?
There's
So
one last
you gonna keep
question
lying?
after
so
you
when
say
someone
this, Jim
when
Bob.
someone says science is the best way to truth, if that's a truth statement, that statement would need to be produced by the science
False.
that you're referring to.
No, I distinguish between those two usages of the word true. One is the word true as used to talk about our confidence in a statement. The other one is a word true as used in an abstract model. You could say in an abstract model, things are absolutely true because you make up
Right?
all the definitions up there. You could literally make up the axioms, you can make up the theorems, you can make up
We make up
everything.
axioms.
Yes, we make them up. Yes. We
Did we
pick
make
them.
up the
Yes.
Did we make up the laws of logic?
Yes, we pick those. Yes, we say we declare these to be true a
Can you
priori.
can you
I have a
declare
logic book right here, dude. You
can
want to
you
pull it out?
can you declare the laws of logic
You've
without
never read a
first
logic book, have you?
Dude, can you declare the laws of logic without
Tell me
first
the
assuming
latest logic book
Fuck,
you've read.
dude. Can you declare the laws of logic without assuming first the laws of logic?
You declare the statements in the language to be true. Yes.
Do you No, dude,
Yes.
you don't listen to a damn thing, dude. How did anyone parent you? Honestly. How did
How
you
did
grow
anyone
up?
parent you? You scream at everyone.
Very last super chat here. Christopher Scott for 5. He
Yes.
says, "Seems like bad faith to come to a debate while sick and be an incoherent sophist." Right?
My bad. I should have canceled. You're right. That would have been so much kinder on modern day debate. No, of course I'm going to get my ass over to here. I appreciate
Can we-
modern
No,
day
we
debate
appreciate
for
that.
hosting me.
Can
No,
we
you're a
pick new
trooper.
laws of logic?
Trooper.
What?
Can we pick new classical laws of logic?
Yes, we have quantum logic. Yes, we have first order logic. We have zeroth order logic.
Are those
we have-
distinct from classical?
Well, typically classical would be considered zeroth order logic. Yeah.
The question was, can we pick new laws of logic, classically speaking?
We can reject those laws and create a new logic that doesn't contain the same tautologies, or it doesn't contain all the tautologies, I should say.
Rejecting a law of logic would assume one of the three, right?
Rejecting the law of logic would be assuming one of the three.
To reject one of the three laws of classical logic would be to assume at least one of them.
We make up the laws of logic. We
We did?
made them up.
So they're not absolute and universal?
No, they're not absolute and universal.
Cool. Can
How
you
could they
change the
be
law of
absolute?
identity? Can you change the law of identity?
Yes, you could
How?
change it
How?
because you could just declare that statement is not true.
That's a
could
law of
declare that.
identity. That's affirming the law of identity.
Or you could take a different axiom that doesn't comport with that particular statement.
And by you mean an identity, right?
Again, propositional logic defines a language of symbols, and
Okay.
the axioms in that language, those are propositions. And when
Okay.
you talk about the classical laws of logic, those are propositions within zeroth order logic. This
Oh,
isn't hard to understand.
Are propositions
They're literally Googleable statements.
Okay.
Those could be rejected.
Are
You could take different axioms that don't comport with those.
Are propositions a unique identity?
A unique identity? What the
Yeah,
fuck
like-
does that mean?
Like, is a tree a proposition?
A tree? No. Propositions are statements that are evaluated as either true or false in a logic system.
Cool. Does that affirm the classical laws of
okay,
identity?
I shouldn't say evaluated true or false.
Does
In
that-
zeroth
does
order
that-
logic,
does that
first order
affirm the-
logic gets more complicated.
Dude, you don't listen to a damn word anybody says.
All right.
I know, but you don't even know any of this. You literally didn't even know that the classical laws of logic are propositions in zeroth order logic. You didn't
You
even know
can't
zeroth order logic is called propositional logic.
You can't make a proposition unless the laws of logic are already in effect, dude.
All right. I said I wasn't going to read any more
You
super chats,
mean
Bobby.
that
Bobby.
Bobby.
Sorry.
I
I said I wasn't going to read any more, but Octavian He's good at this. He sent $50 and he said, "Bro said we believe. How do you quantify we believe? Even when you survey people, how do you quantify their belief? Even when you know all there is to know about the religion and upbringing, how do you quantify belief using the scientific method?"
Again, quantify means that you're going to do some type of calculations with respect to whatever the thing it is that you're talking about. So if you are surveying people and counting up the number of people that say a thing or don't say a thing, or counting up the number of usages of the particular word, or counting the phonetics, or going over the waveform of the particular speech, I don't fucking know, man. There's all kinds of different ways in which it could be analyzed, and we could analyze those in a bunch of different ways, right? I'm not sure what you're trying to get at. Although I do appreciate you giving, Modern Day Debate $50. I think that's very helpful to the
Big
platform.
W for Octavian in the chats, guys.
Yes.
Okay, everyone's commenting on that one, saying they want to see your katana.
My katana? I don't have a katana.
Sorry, chat.
Yeah.
Thought
I have a
that
bunch of
50 was gonna
guns.
get it out of him. Is that what the gun?
I got a
It's
fuck
in the
ton
gun
of
safe
guns.
behind you. Don't pull anything out. No, this is not TOS, but I just saw
Is
a
that
lot of
against
speculation.
TOS?
Yeah,
Aren't
I've
there a
seen
whole,
streams
like,
get
you
taken down for just a brief flash over it.
really? But there's whole YouTubes that are dedicated to like shooting ranges and
No,
stuff.
it's a live stream. That's the thing. If something's pre-recorded on a like a shooting range, it's live
Oh,
streams. So you have to really watch
live
it.
streams. I
Yeah,
got you. I
you have
got you.
to really
Good to
watch it.
know. Good to know.
They'll get you.
That's good advice. Yeah.
Well, yeah, since you did just recently start your channel, that is something to learn early, I guess. All right, guys. Well, this has been a lot of fun. We had some good times. We had some laughs. All right. Shout out your channels real quick, Mr. Jim Bob, and then we'll go over to you, Bobby.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it, Bobby. Nothing's personal. I'm aggressive, a little bastard. So I hope you don't take anything I said or did personally today. And thank you to the audience at Modern Day Debate and my own audience for all the super chats and support. I'm made by Jim Bob on YouTube and every other platform. And if there's anyone in the chat who thinks they can do a better job at affirming and defending evolution, reach out to me. I'm always open to another debate.
All right, good Xbox 360 lobby tonight, says Benjamin Pictone. Go ahead, Bobby, and shout out your channel, blog, whatever you want people directed to.
Yeah, thank you again to Modern Day Debate for having me. Thanks to everyone in the chat for all the donations and everything. I think it's great supporting this kind of content. I am Bobby. I run a channel called Axiomatic Reasoning. I debate, or discuss. I like talking with people. I don't necessarily enjoy the whole screaming stuff, but I talk about politics, religion, ethics, morals, mathematics, physics, engineering, whatever it is that's of interest to people. I got a whole forum of math question channels. If you want to ask math questions, topology, real analysis, complex variables, integration, whatever, you can ask questions to me. I'll help you out if you'd like. We're a growing community. I have YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all the stuff. And I hope to continue doing more of these. And I guess I should thank Jim Bob. Thank you so much for agreeing to talk to me. It was kind of you. I think it was very entertaining. I'm sure the chat loved it.
Oh yeah. One's in the chat if you had a good time. Let's see. And then while they're doing that, I'm gonna try to do something I never did with this real quick. How do I don't know if it was Octavian who asked me to do that, but I am trying, just to let you know. All right, it looks like there's a lot of ones. They had a good time. They had a very good time. Jim Bob, how did you do a raid?
You have to go to your basically your backend, your dashboard, your studio, and you have to click on one of your live streams, the one that's present.
Got it.
And then you have to go to customization. And then under customization, you scroll down and you're going to see basically the raid is called the transfer chat or something like that. And then you have to pick a stream that's present and accepts raids.
Okay. Yeah,
I will be hopping on.
I never knew how to do that,
Oh,
so I appreciate that.
I will be hopping onto my Discord if anyone wanted to come by and chat, maybe for like an hour or something. I don't know.
Good to know. Okay, thank you guys. I'm gonna hit the outro. You gentlemen have a great night. Thank you, chat, and y'all have a good evening.
God bless y'all. Thank you so much.